The front cover of the official Nintendo magazine showcases an exciting issue, prominently featuring the South Park N64 review, promising a positive write-up. The magazine promises news, previews, exclusives, game guides and tips for the N64, all for £2.95. Content highlights include a Turok 2 monster guide and previews of upcoming N64 games like Duke Nukem 64, Top Gear Overdrive and Super Smash Bros., which is referred to as a Mario beat-em-up. They're also giving away a free Zelda guide and stickers. The magazine boasts a total test section, reviewing every N64 game, pad and pack. This page is a full-page advert for Rally 99 on the Nintendo 64. It's got this rather dramatic picture of a muddy car wheel looming over a pristine, well not so pristine now, N64 console, covered in muck too. Bit of a strange image to sell a game, makes you wonder if they actually chucked a console in the mud for the photo shoot. Anyway, it's pushing the game as the official WRC 1998 tie-in, boasting 12 official cars battling it out over 48 tracks across 8 countries. Sounds like a decent chunk of content, especially back then. They're also banging on about unpredictable weather and night stages, which, to be fair, were pretty impressive for the time in a racing game on the N64. At the bottom there are a couple of screenshots showing the in-game action, looking fairly typical for a late 90s rally racer. Rally 99. On Nintendo 64. You can't beat it. Bit of a bold claim there, especially considering Gran Turismo was already doing its thing on the PlayStation. Still, Rally was alright, if you were into your rally games on the N64. This page is a full-page advert for Rally 99 on the N64. It's got a real up-close and personal shot of a tyre caked in mud, which is a bit in your face, isn't it? Right above the tagline, Rally 99, on Nintendo 64. They're really pushing the mud and guts feel, I suppose. Down below there's a bunch of review snippets. Someone from N64 magazine reckons it aces all the other car driving games out there, which is fighting talk. Total Control calls it a game that Nintendo owners have been crying out for. A bit dramatic, but alright. Total 64 says it's a fantastic racing game you should add to your collection. Pretty standard stuff. And N64 Pro claims the action in Rally is a pure adrenaline rush. Well, each to their own. It's all there alongside the Infogrames logo and the Nintendo 64 logo, and that red Rally Edition 99 logo again at the bottom, just to hammer it home. So yeah, full-page advert for Rally 99, trying to get you revved up for some muddy rally action on your N64. The next page is a bit of a change of pace. It's an advert for Sunny Delight. It's got this fella doing a wheelie on a BMX, looking all pleased with himself, and in the background there's a fridge with Sunny D bottles inside. Bit random, isn't it? Whenever, wherever, reach for the sun, it says at the bottom. I suppose they're trying to link it to being active and outdoorsy or something like that. Not a game in sight, just orange juice, or whatever Sunny D actually is. Still, I guess you'd be thirsty after all that. BMX-ing. This page is a bit of an odd one, looks like another advert but this time for Sunny Delight again. It's got 2 women on bikes, looking like they're having the time of their lives bombing down a hill. One's in front and really going for it, looking like she might wipe out, and the other is behind her smiling away. There's a fridge in the corner again, just like the last ad, but it's kind of hovering in mid-air, which is a bit strange. Vitamins AB1 and 6C it says, and the Sunny Delight logo at the bottom. It's all very yellow and orange, trying to look energetic I suppose. Not much to say about it really, just more Sunny D trying to associate itself with being active and outdoorsy, like the BMX fella on the last page. Still no games, just fizzy orange drink. Right then, let's see what's next. This page then, blimey, it's a full-on advert for The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64. Big splash page this is, and you can see why this was the big one everyone was waiting for back then. Right in the middle is Link himself, striking a pose with the Master Sword and Hylian shield, looking all heroic. Surrounding him in the background are all sorts of nasty creatures, the kind of ghouls and monsters you'd expect from Zelda, and even a glimpse of old Ganondorf looking menacing as ever at the top there. Nintendo 64 logo is bang at the top, can't miss it, with the Feel Everything slogan. Bit dramatic, but hey, that's advertising for you. Down at the bottom in big letters it claims it's the most anticipated video game ever. Bit of a bold statement that, wasn't it? Still, December 98 it says everyone knew this was going to be massive. Ocarina of Time, yeah, that was the game everyone was desperate to get their hands on. Remember the hype around this one? They weren't wrong in some ways, were they? Changed the game, that one did. Issue 76 of Nintendo Official Magazine, January 1999, promotes itself as the UK's best-selling Nintendo magazine. It boasts of being the first to deliver news, screenshots, and easy-to-understand content for Nintendo 64 and Game Boy games. The magazine promises tips, cheats, and reliable writers, encouraging readers to choose it over competitors. A Team Nintendo of staff members is featured with enthusiastic endorsements. Contact information for reader tips and a way to locate the magazine are provided. The issue showcases upcoming content, including reviews for the South Park game and a Zelda feature highlighting the Ocarina of Time, with free guides and stickers offered to entice readers. This page is really shouting about South Park on the N64. Proper big splash with Cartman's face front and center. They're saying it's the first ever review and got all new shots and info, really pushing that exclusive angle. Nintendo games kick ass is plastered there. Bit much, isn't it? They reckon they're showing you everything in the review, all the characters, loads of monsters, massive levels, weird weapons, and even deathmatch. Sounds like they're trying to cover all bases for the fans. Page 10 if you're interested, apparently. BE. Then there's a game news section, claiming to have the first and best news. Let's see what they've got. Detective 64, Lego Racers, something called Let's Smash, Mystical Ninja, Gomon 2. Now that's a proper game, Nintendo All-Star Smash Brothers. Hold on, Smash Brothers and All-Star Smash Brothers? Bit redundant, isn't it? Anyway, Pokemon's in there, Rugrats, Sylvester and Tweety, Winback, and Duke Nukem, 0 Hour. They're flagging some as new for Nintendo 64, and some new for Game Boy Color, with the logos so you know what platform they're on. Page 102 for that lot. Down at the bottom they're highlighting Turok 2, saying the first 2 vicious levels are shown, ripped wide open for you. Dramatic. Screenshot there of that dinosaur hunter business, page 80 if you want to see more, and just to round it off, a picture from Duke Nukem, 0 Hour. Busy page, lots going on as usual. This month's N64 coverage dives into reviews, including Top Gear Overdrive, a rally racer, Knife Edge, a futuristic shooter, and NBA Live 99. Rush 2 and Twisted Edge Extreme Snowboarding are also reviewed. A Blagfest offers South Park merchandise. Game guides promise winning strategies for F1 World Grand Prix, Turok 2, and V-Rally Edition 99, along with a Legend of Zelda guide and cheat codes. Readers are encouraged to submit tips and scores. Free stickers are included. A total test section reviews Nintendo peripherals. Most Wanted highlights upcoming games like South Park, Rogue Squadron, and Duke Nukem, 0 Hour. This N64 game review page, styled in a 90s tone, uses a unique scoring system from 0 to 100. Scores above 90 earn the Awesome Award. The reviews cover a diverse range of titles. South Park is praised for bringing the characters to life. Top Gear Overdrive is a standard racer. NBA Live 99 features NBA players. Rush 2 Extreme Racing. USA offers adrenaline-fueled street racing. Twisted Edge Extreme Snowboarding promises slopes and challenges. Knife Edge is a space jet blaster set on Mars. The page showcases the N64's diverse library, with games ranging in quality, reflecting the console's peak era. This review of the N64 South Park game praises its blend of Turok 2 gameplay with South Park humor. The reviewer highlights the novelty of 3D characters and action, comparing it to a funnier Turok experience. The game features shooter mechanics with familiar characters like Kenny, Stan, Kyle, and Cartman battling turkeys. The review details the game's intro, including a giant iguana attack and Kenny's immediate demise, a classic South Park gag. Screenshots show blocky but recognizable gameplay, and the iconic South Park intro. The game supports multiplayer, memory pack, and rumble pack. The review concludes with a "We said," quote, "It plays just like a comic version of Turok 2, suggesting a fun, if visually imperfect, experience for fans of both Turok and South Park." This South Park game review highlights its characters and gameplay. Friendly Faces introduces the core cast, Kyle, Stan, Kenny, and Cartman, with brief, humorous descriptions. The storyline, described as thin, involves the kids facing killer turkeys and seeking out their friends. 5 Crazy Worlds details the game's 5 stages, filled with enemies, mini-bosses, and end-of-level bosses. Gameplay involves switching between characters as weapons change, with Cartman's slowness noted. The goal is to find the missing gang members, starting with Kenny. The review concludes that the game is a standard N64 shooter, relying on South Park's humor and charm over innovative gameplay. It's suggested as enjoyable for fans but unlikely to break new ground. This review dissects a South Park game's mechanics. The heads-up display shows health, South Park heads, a radar, score, and current weapon. Players will encounter dodgeable vomit dolls. The game's controls are compared to 1/64 first-person shooters like Turok and GoldenEye, offering customizable schemes and a crosshair. The review promises crude humor, all the expected catchphrases, and brilliant dialogue. Players can expect verbal abuse from enemies. Collectibles are a focus, with power-ups like cheesy poofs for health and points, snacky cakes for speed, Mr. Hanky for protection, and weight gain 4000 for invincibility, catering to fans with numerous show references. This page is a right nostalgic trip down memory lane, looking at South Park on the N64. It's a map, see, guiding you through South Park Town, showing off some of the key locations you'll be traipsing around in the game. Veggie. Starting off at the start point, which is helpfully marked, you're told to visit some landmarks. Looks like the first stop is City Hall, home to that Mayor McDaniels, apparently useless in a crisis. Then you've got Kay's Buffet, described as the best all-you-can-eat in town and perfect for a starving Ethiopian. Bit of a dated joke there, even for South Park, eh? Next up, down the train tracks, is Kenny's house, naturally in the poor part of town, and best avoided at night apparently. Followed by the sushi bar, the poshest place to eat, where they reckon Kenny won't be seen. And finally, Jimbo's Guns, for all your celebrity assassination needs, or so they joke. Each location has a little screenshot from the game and a brief description. They've even given each place a little smiley rating, whatever that's supposed to mean. Seems like a fun little tour of South Park and its dodgy inhabitants. From what they said on the previous page about the crude humor and catchphrases, this game is definitely aiming for the fans of the show. The game features a South Park map showcasing key locations. Players can visit familiar spots like Kyle, Stan, and Cartman's houses, encountering classic South Park scenarios. Kyle's mum restricts his TV time, while Kenny's parents frequent the post office for their benefits. The plastic surgery offers cosmetic enhancements, humorously exaggerated. The school features Kyle as the smart one, and Cartman, Polis Med. While Cartman, the playing field hosts the school's football team, with Stan as quarterback, though he's throwing snowballs. Each location has a screenshot and a smiley face rating, suggesting a tour of the game world focused on mischief and snowy chaos. South Park on 64 features large levels with hidden areas containing upgrades. Cheesy poofs restore health, and dodgeballs provide ammo. Levels can be completed by reaching the finish line after destroying the final tank. Scoring is based on kills, tank destruction, and avoiding harm to innocent animals. Graphically, the game successfully recreates the cartoon's look with its 3D characters. The review highlights a boss battle against giant turkeys. A key tip is to shoot tanks in the back. The game boasts unique and wacky weapons, surpassing those found in GoldenEye and Turok. Weapons include the snowball, dodgeball, plunger gun, chicken sniper, sponge dart, warp ray, alien weapon, dolls, and the explosive cow launcher. The inclusion of a fart-based weapon exemplifies the game's signature humor. This page is a full-page advert for the Star Trek Insurrection movie. It's got the classic movie poster artwork, with the Enterprise flying towards some sort of face in the sky, all very dramatic. It's reminding us that the battle for paradise has begun, which sounds a bit grand for a Star Trek film if I'm honest, but there you go. It's got all the usual cast names plastered across the bottom: Patrick Stewart and Jonathan Frakes, the usual suspects. And yeah, it's dated the 1st of January 99, so right around the time this magazine would have been hitting the shelves. Not much to do with games, more of a cinema plug really. This review covers the South Park game for the N64, capitalizing on the show's immense popularity in the late 90s. The review focuses on a boss battle against a giant mutated turkey, offering tips like targeting its backside. Screenshots reveal basic N64 graphics, but the review suggests the game captures the show's humor. The review also reminisces about favorite episodes from the first series, like Starving Marvin, where Kenny dies by turkeys, Volcano, and Damien. These summaries highlight the show's signature randomness, dark humor, and violence. The review emphasizes memorable moments, such as Starving Marvin's Cartman-like speech and the Devil's fight with Jesus, indicating the game's faithful representation of the South Park spirit. The South Park N64 review praises the game's sound, calling it bloomin' awesome with iconic catchphrases and a memorable theme song. The review then dives into the enemies, detailing the clones, mind-controlled cows, clumsy mad robots, and killer toys, all mirroring the show's absurd humor. The article also highlights references to specific episodes like Weight Gain 4000, with Kenny's death and Cartman's buff appearance, and Pink Eye, featuring a zombie outbreak, Kenny's chainsaw demise, and Cartman's World War II video. The review is accompanied by an image of a boxing kangaroo, with the phrase, "holds no punches," along with the Chef's Love Shack logo, implying the game aims to capture the show's crude and unfiltered nature. The review continues, focusing on South Park's graphics and multiplayer. Utilizing the expansion pack enhances the visuals, making them sharper and closer to PC graphics, evident in a before and after comparison of the school bus. Multiplayer is highlighted as a key feature. Initially, players use Stan, Kyle, Cartman and Kenny, with unlockable characters like Barbra Streisand and Starvin' Marvin. Various game modes are available, promising a lot of content. Screenshots showcase multiplayer action, including snowball fights with Ike, Pip's misfortune, and Chef's encounter with an alien gizmo. The review emphasizes the game's chaotic humor, mirroring the show, and suggests multiplayer offers a fun experience with friends. This page continues the South Park review, banging on about the multiplayer still being amazing, and as good as anything else out there. Apparently it's side-splittingly funny. They've even got a "What do you think?" section, asking if South Park is better than Turok 2, prompting readers to send in their thoughts after playing Club Mario. Bit of a random shout out to that place. There are some screenshots, typical South Park in-game shots with those blocky N64 graphics, one with what looks like a chef character, and some kids kicking about. Then there's a big old score slapped on it, 90%, calling it awesome, with a Nintendo magazine seal of approval. The review text itself is praising South Park's brilliance, saying it's just like the cartoon with spot-on characters, speech, humor and excitement, reckons both single and multiplayer are going to keep you hooked for ages and cartoon fans will love it. Seems a bit hyped up for what was, well, South Park on the N64. Just flipping over the page, there's a full-page advert for a game called Silicon Valley. It's got this weird picture of a tank that's also a turtle. Proper bizarre. With a tagline, "Takes no prisoners." Bit of a menacing vibe with all these eyes looking out from the darkness at the top. Looks like one of those quirky rareware titles, you know the type. Bit different, bit odd, but could be alright. This page advertises various South Park merchandise. Items include a Kenny badge, 50p, an Eric Cartman money box, £10, character beanie hats, £8, a Stan magnet, £3.50, and a Kenny keyring, £4. You can also find a Kyle coffee mug, £5. Plush dolls are also available. Kyle and Stan are £16 each. A dead Kenny doll, with a detachable head, costs £20. The merchandise caters to fans of the show, offering a range of items from cheap badges to pricier plush dolls, all themed around the iconic characters and catchphrases. This page is all about South Park stuff. More merch to get your hands on if you're a fan. Looks like they've got more badges, this time a Cartman badge for just 50p, claiming he's South Park's own Teletubby. Cheeky. There's a Stan Cooler mug for £8, keeps your juice nice and cool apparently, whatever that means. Then a video box set, first 6 episodes for £35. South Park heaven they reckon. Bit much for 6 EPS really, even if it is in a classy box. They've got a Chef Aid CD, cheesy rock tunes based on the show for £14. Well, rude is the selling point. Oh, and more badges, a giant badge with all the South Park gang for £1. And another Stan thing, this time a keyring for £2, if you're not into magnets apparently. Finally, there's a Cartman doll for £16. They say he's festively plump, not fat, right? And he's buff. Bit of a stretch that, isn't it? Still, if you're collecting it all, you might as well get the lot. Top Gear Overdrive for the N64 is reviewed, hailed as a worthy successor to Top Gear Rally, promising crashes and exciting races. Players can race expensive cars across diverse environments, including beaches and mountains, with 4-player multiplayer battles. The game, costing £44.99, supports multiplayer and rumble features, but not the expansion pack. The review highlights a range of cars, from sports cars to classics, including the Volkswagen Beetle, Mitsubishi Eclipse, Jeep Wrangler, Hummer, Porsche 911, and Ferrari F40. Each car has unique attributes. The Beetle is slow but handles well, while the Eclipse is fast but has poor handling. The Jeep is robust, the Hummer challenging, the Porsche fast but hard to control, and the Ferrari favors open roads with tricky handling. The review also offers basic racing tips. This review of Top Gear Overdrive for the N64 focuses on gameplay and visual aspects. The controls are standard racing game fare. Accelerate with A, brake with B, and rear view with R. The review criticizes the track visuals as dull compared to the SNES original, though acknowledges the game's speed and car selection. Several cars are highlighted: the Chevrolet Camaro, all-arounder, the Dodge Viper, slick handling, the Dodge Copperhead, easy to handle, and the McLaren F1, challenging to master. The review also mentions car customization, specifically painting a Ferrari black. Overall, it's a mixed assessment, praising the core racing experience while noting visual shortcomings. This Top Gear Overdrive preview highlights the game's key features. 5 diverse tracks are described: frigid peaks, snowy, fertile canyon, rainy, swampy depot, muddy, downtown, city, and sandy beaches, beachy. The sounds section mentions engine noises and heavy metal music. Gameplay involves standard arcade elements, boost pads, and nitro pickups activated by the Z trigger. Winning races earns money for upgrades at the auto shop, allowing players to improve handling, acceleration, top speed, brakes, and nitrous, or even purchase new vehicles. The core loop revolves around racing, earning money, and upgrading your car, typical of arcade races on the N64. Top Gear Overdrive lets you customize your car's paint with a color chart accessed by holding Z. Nitro boosts are activated with the Z trigger. Gain them by driving over green traffic lights. Avoid scratching your paint. The game features a single-player championship mode with weather, mirrored tracks, and secret cars. There's a VW Beetle available, described as a stylish beginner car, suggesting that faster options exist. This page reviews Top Gear Overdrive. Right then, another racing game for the N64. Apparently this one's all about shortcuts. They reckon you should keep your eyes peeled for tunnels and waterfalls to get ahead, and the computer drivers are supposedly a bit thick so you can easily climb the ranks. There's a picture of a black Ferrari F40 which they seem quite chuffed with, calling it, well, cool. Can't argue with an F40 classic motor. Moving on, they talk about multiplayer, saying you can get 4 players going at it. The first Top Gear only had 2-player mode, so that's progress, I suppose. They mention you can do a single race or a whole season if you're really keen. For the multiplayer itself, they admit it's not the fastest game out there, doesn't fly along they say, but it's still a decent laugh with your mates. Down at the bottom there's a, what do you reckon? Box? Trying to get readers involved, and pointing them to Club Mario on page 94. Finally, the game score. They've slapped an 85% on it. The reviewer thinks it's a decent sequel. Not amazing tracks, but loads of races and secrets to find. Bit of a backhanded compliment, maybe. They compare it to Vrally, but say it's not quite as good, and finish by saying if you've got cash to splash, get it. So, decent but not groundbreaking then. Sounds about right for a mid-range racer at the time. This page seems to be a bit of an advert for something called Solo. Looks like some sort of newfangled debit card deal. They've got this blue inflatable jacket thing as the backdrop, probably trying to look cool and modern. The green badge says, "Get into anything except the red," with a Solo logo. Seems like they are pushing the idea of spending money but not getting into debt. Sensible enough, I suppose. The little note on the side explains it's a debit card that lets you buy all sorts of stuff and keeps you in control of your bank account. Apparently, you can check your balance every time you use it, which is handy I guess, stop you accidentally rinsing your account completely. They're saying you can't spend more than you have, which, well, that's how debit cards usually work, isn't it? And they reckon it's accepted in over 200,000 shops, and you should look out for a purple sticker to know where you can use it. Right at the top corner there's a website, www.switch.co.uk. Maybe that's where you go to sign up or find out more about this Solo thing. It ends with, "You should find it suits you very well." Bit cheesy, but there you go. Seems like they're trying to make debit cards sound exciting, which is a bit of a stretch if you ask me, but each to their own. NBA Live 99 for the N64, released in December for £49.99, is a standard basketball game. The review notes it as a potential alternative to Courtside. Featuring Tim Hardaway and reverse slams, the game boasts all 30 NBA teams and big names like Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman. The Slam and Jam blurb promises exciting gameplay with cracking moves and incredible realism. Close-up replays are highlighted as a positive. Gameplay options include exhibition, season, playoffs, and three-point shooter. While not particularly innovative, the review suggests it caters to NBA fans on the N64, offering a familiar basketball experience. This NBA Live 99 review for N64 covers gameplay aspects. Rule changes allow foul adjustments. On the Ball discusses offense and defense. Controls are simple, though getting close to the basket is tricky. Pressing R highlights teammates. Passing and shooting use A and B, while C buttons boost and perform tricks. Switching players defensively can be difficult. Controls are hazmates. Change the view, explores camera angles, classic, sideline, and overhead. Sounds feature commentary and Looney Tunes in arcade mode. Cool Replays offers instant replays with angle adjustments and speed control. Screenshots illustrate gameplay, with captions describing the action. The review suggests a solid, if not innovative, basketball game. NBA Live 99 offers a mixed bag of gameplay features. Slamming moves feature impressive offensive maneuvers. Stat Attack provides in-depth player statistics, including shot charts. Single-player modes are present, with the playoffs recommended for a quicker experience. Multiplayer is predictably more enjoyable. A first tip advises against relying on corner three-pointers. A comparison of Kobe Bryant's performance in different basketball games reveals varied assessments. Hang Time portrays him as strong but not great at three-pointers, while NBA Courtside shows him as a dominant player. In NBA Live 99 he excels at free throws, but is deemed sluggish overall. The game receives an 80% rating, praised for its solid gameplay, but criticized for lacking a wow factor and potential for long-term engagement, with other titles considered superior. This page is an advert for the Action Replay Professional for the N64. Remember those? Proper bit of kit they were back in the day. It reckons it's the world's best game enhancer, which is a bit of a bold claim, but for cheating on your N64 it was pretty much the only game in town. Basically, it let you put in cheat codes to get infinite lives, health, ammo, all that sort of thing. They're banging on about a code generator feature, so you could find your own cheats. Fancy that? It also came preloaded with hundreds of the hottest cheat codes for all the big N64 games. It's boasting about extra weapons, hidden levels, extra characters, vehicles, the works. Price was £49.99, a fair whack at the time, but worth it if you were stuck on a game and needed a bit of a leg up. Available at Game & Electronics Boutique, naturally, those were the places to go back then. They even had a code line phone number, if you needed more cheats. Imagine paying for cheats on the phone these days. Says new codes found daily, so someone was clearly putting in the effort. Cheatware by Datal, those were the guys behind it. Good times, good times. This page is a review for Rush 2, Extreme Racing USA on the N64. Blimey, £49.99 back then, that was a fair chunk of change. Came out on January 15th apparently. Multiplayer, memory pack, rumble pack, the usual N64 bells and whistles. The review reckons, with all these futuristic racers kicking about, Rush 2 is trying to bring it back to rubber and tarmac, calling it a sequel to San Francisco Rush. Says you can cruise through loads of American cities and see famous landmarks. And there's a new multiplayer mode to get stuck into. Apparently, even the subcompact car can lose it on corners and sparks fly when you hit railings. Muscle cars causing trouble on the Alcatraz track, you know the drill. Carew. There are a few screenshots dotted around, showing some in-game action. Typical arcade racer stuff. Then they've got a section called Coast to Coast, highlighting different locations you can race in. Los Angeles, New York, Alcatraz and Las Vegas. Los Angeles is about star spotting in Hollywood, New York. They're saying don't stop driving. Alcatraz is a quick trip to San Francisco, and Vegas is all about the strip. The "we said" bit is quite funny, saying it might be a sequel to one of the N64's worst races, but Rush 2 apparently sounds loads better. Bit of a backhanded compliment if you ask me, but hey, it's Rush 2, it was alright for a bit of arcade fun. Rush 2 features 16 cars across 4 performance categories, with a recommendation to prioritize acceleration over top speed, especially for beginners. The game includes hidden routes with shortcuts, achieved by smashing through obstacles, but warns of potential wipeouts. The audio is criticized for its dull engine noises and ineffective car horns. Gameplay modes include Circuit, with 28 tracks, 1 race, and Practice, all playable in 2-player. The review highlights the New York track, showcasing races through city streets. The page concludes with a standard magazine-style presentation. Rush 2's review highlights significant handling issues, with the cars prone to sliding and difficult cornering, despite supposed improvements. The single-player mode is criticized for being tedious, while the multiplayer, particularly the tag mode, receives mixed reviews, ranging from humorous to a joke. A key finding feature introduces exploration to unlock bonus content. Basic driving tips emphasize the importance of keeping the car straight, due to poor handling. Despite impressive speed and graphics, the game receives a 74% score, with the review concluding that poor handling hinders the overall experience, making it a disappointing N64 racer. This page is an advert for Midland Bank, trying to entice young'uns, 11 to 15-year-olds to be precise, to open a live cash account. Blimey, banks, trying to be down with the kids. If you did, you'd get a free top 40 Candelas single, a personal organizer, and a live cash card for 24-hour access to your funds. They've even used that Spice Girls lyric, "If you want to be my lover, you've got to get with my friends," which was massive back then, to try and sound trendy. There's a phone number to call for details, and a coupon to fill in if you were interested. Cheeky bunch. This page is a review of Twisted Edge Extreme Snowboarding for the N64. Right then, let's have a look. It was priced at £39.99 and released in February 1999, which seems about right for a new N64 game back then. They reckon if you're after boarding buzz and fancy a bit of 1080 action, this is your game. The We Said Bit quotes, "With a few improvements, Twisted Edge could be the beta of the Big N's 1080 snowboarding." Bit cheeky calling Nintendo Big N, isn't it? Anyway, they're saying it's action-packed, you're skimming across the snow, doing jumps, and it's all about becoming the Twisted Edge snowboarding champ. There are different modes like stunt challenges and races, even two-player mode to play with your mates. They mention chili challenges, and say it has ice cool options, with options for solo play or with mates. The look section isn't so complimentary, saying the tracks lack detail and don't look as good as 1080 degrees. Ouch. That's a bit of a blow. 1080 was a looker. Then there's descriptions of game modes. Competition where you race 3 others. Stunt challenge for pulling off death-defying stunts. VS race for 2-player battles. And practice mode to hone your skills and race against a ghost, which is handy. All in all, sounds like a decent snowboarding game, maybe not quite 1080 level visually, but still fun for a bit of snowy action on the N64. Twisted Edge Extreme Snowboarding features multiple camera replays and encourages players to attempt 1080-degree spins for high scores. The game's audio is described as average for the time. A helpful tip advises double-tapping boost to regain speed after a crash. Players choose from 4 unique borders: Guns, All Around, Sylvia, Quick, Ryo, Balanced, and Kevin, Trick Focused. The game also includes a board shop, where players select from boards like Moai, Northerly, XXX6, and Cat, each with varying stats like flex and edge control. The game aims to provide a comprehensive overview of the game's mechanics and starting points. Twisted Edge Extreme Snowboarding for the N64 offers simple controls and various stunts like backflips. The single-player mode features races, secret routes, and unlockable characters, but lacks lasting appeal. The game includes tracks like Easy Slider and Funky Town, with a focus on finding shortcuts. Multiplayer is limited to 2-player races, deemed boring by the reviewer. The Nintendo official magazine gave it a 78%, criticizing the handling and graphics, recommending 1080-degree snowboarding instead. Despite the flaws, it's considered a decent rental option for a weekend of fun. This page highlights the awesome control steering wheel for the Nintendo 64, a peripheral boasting rumble effects and foot pedals. Old-school reviews rave about its quality and innovation. Nintendo magazine called it excellent, while N64 Pro gave it a 4.5, praising its looks. Daily Star exaggerated its features with an F1 gear change claim, whereas Daily Record gave it a 9/10. Computer Active highlights the appeal for Diddy Kong racing fans, and GamesMaster deemed it unbeatable. Total 64 awarded it a perfect score, highlighting the fun and gameplay enhancements. The page also mentions G64 controllers, a new line of joypads with turbo and auto-fire features. The overall aim is to capitalize on the N64 racing game popularity by promoting the steering wheel and controllers. This is a nostalgic look at a BT's advertisement for Nintendo 64 bundles. The bundles offered a console, controller, and a Jolt Pack memory expansion, with a selection of games. The Magnificent 7 deals were tiered by price, offering more games for a higher cost. Games ranged from £24.99 to £49.99, featuring titles like Doom 64, Quake, Duke Nukem 3D, Wave Race 64, Shadows of the Empire, WWF Warzone, Banjo-Kazooie, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, NASCAR 99, and Yoshi's Story. The bundles aim to entice customers and promote the latest Nintendo games. This is a mail-order advertisement for Nintendo 64 games. Top titles include Zelda, Ocarina of Time, £49.99, with a free Jolt Pack, Zero X, £39.99, also with a Jolt Pack, and WWF Warzone, £29.99 with a strategy guide. Other games offered are Turok 2, Bustamoo 3 with a free video, F1 Grand Prix with a die-cast car, and Body Harvest, all priced at £39.99 and often including a Jolt Pack. A Nintendo 64 4-game deal offers a console, controller, GoldenEye, Super Mario 64, Killer Instinct Gold, and WWF Warzone for £159.99. Purchases could be made via check, postal order, or credit/debit card. The form directs orders to BT's Direct. Postage and packing cost £2.95. Orders were processed during specific weekday and Saturday hours. This page is a review for a game called Knife Edge. Nose Gunner. Sounds a bit generic, doesn't it? It's one of those sci-fi shooters set on Mars in the 21st century. Apparently humans have terraformed the place, but the Martians are getting a bit arsy about it, so it's up to you to blast them all. Faka. They reckon it plays alright, especially in multiplayer, which was always a laugh back in the day. They even compare it to Lilac Wars, saying the planes fly on autopilot so you can just concentrate on shooting, which is probably a good thing for some of us. They do say the graphics are a bit pants, and the levels are dull, which isn't exactly selling it, is it? Kinney. Price is £39.99, which seems to be the going rate for these N64 games. Same price as F0X and Turok 2 if you were looking at that mail order page before. It's got 4 gameplay modes, story, practice, team, and just plain old multiplayer, so at least there's a bit of variety. The reviewer seems a bit lukewarm overall, but they do say, with multiplayer on the cards this top shooter will be worth a look, so maybe it's alright with a mate. It's got Rumble Pack support too. Standard stuff for the N64 by this point. Seems like a fairly average shooter to be honest, nothing too special, but maybe worth a rent if you're bored. The Nose Gunner review highlights the game's core features. The review section features screenshots of tank combat, showcasing explosions, and the use of homing missiles and nukes. The game introduces 3 crew members, Second Lieutenant Sampson, the trigger-happy pilot, Wing Commander Mackenzie, who gives orders, and Dr. Lynx, the team's scientist. The game's Welcome to Mars section details the 4 Martian stages across colonies, deserts, and icy wastelands. The audio receives a negative comment, with the music described as annoying. The review offers standard advice about collecting weapon power-ups. Level descriptions include team deathmatches, a desert ravine, an ice level with a palace, and industrial and lava-filled wastelands. Overall, the review suggests a familiar sci-fi shooter experience. This text provides a guide to playing the N64 shooter, Knife Edge. The gameplay involves collecting pickups for shields and weapon upgrades. Players can enhance their main Vulcan cannon and gather 6 levels of improvements. The game features branching level paths, offering replayability as players choose different routes. The heads-up display, HUD, shows vital information like ship health, special bomb gauge, and targeting reticles. The guide highlights the nuke weapon's destructive power. Weapon details are provided for the Vulcan cannon, homing missiles, plasma torpedoes, and the nuke. The text concludes by suggesting the game offers standard arcade shooter mechanics, with clear explanations. Official Nintendo magazine reviews Knife Edge, a futuristic shooter focusing on dodging enemy fire, utilizing the C buttons for evasion. The review draws comparisons to Rogue Squadron, acknowledging Knife Edge's unique appeal. It highlights the game's challenging bosses, offering tips like using nukes and targeting weak spots. Weapon details for flak and special bomb are provided. The multiplayer section deems team mode confusing and battle match pointless, suggesting a better single-player experience. Ultimately, the game receives a 75% score, with criticism levied on its short-term appeal and rental recommendation. This vintage catalog page showcases a range of Nintendo 64 deals and accessories. It highlights N64 bundles, including games like GoldenEye, Mario 64, and International Superstar Soccer 98. Individual games such as Zelda, Rogue Squadron, and F0 are also advertised. The page lists a variety of N64 games, both new and used, including classics like Banjo-Kazooie and Ocarina of Time. It also features versions of games and a plethora of accessories, such as controllers, memory cards, and even Nintendo-branded radios, walkie-talkies, and beanies. The overall impression is a nostalgic look back at a time before online shopping, offering a comprehensive selection of N64 products, designed to entice consumers to fully embrace the console experience. This page is a late 90s gaming catalog showcasing products for the N64 and Game Boy. The N64 section highlights racing wheels like the Ultra Racer, alongside games like Mario Kart and F-Zero. Game Boy Color takes center stage with its vibrant screen, featuring games like Bugs and Lola, and accessories like the pocket camera and printer. The catalog also offers a range of original Game Boy games and hardware. SNES games like Arkanoid, F-Zero, and Zelda are included, with accessories. The N64 section continues with rumble packs, Shockwave, Interactor, cheat devices like Action Replay, cables, and memory cards. Miscellaneous items like the Game Boy Booster and game guides for titles like Banjo-Kazooie and Mario Kart 64 round out the offerings. The whole catalog is a throwback to mail-order gaming, complete with order forms and waiting for game delivery. This advertisement promotes a subscription to the Nintendo official magazine. Readers are offered deals like 6 issues for the price of 4, or 12 for the price of 9, plus free delivery. The magazine promised N64 news, reviews, tips, and free guides, and claimed to be the UK's best-selling N64 magazine. Subscribers were entered into a monthly draw to win £150 of Nintendo gear. The ad included subscription prices for various regions, a form for name, address, and payment details, check, postal order, or debit card. A credit card hotline was provided. The offer, including a prize draw entry, using code F1s, was set to expire in October 1998. The ad concluded with an option to opt out of receiving special offers. This issue of Total Test focuses on all things Nintendo, with reviews and buying guides. Yoshi offers hints throughout. Highlights include all Nintendo gear, accessories, Game Boy coverage, and N64 Magic featuring Banjo-Kazooie and ISS-98. Most wanted previews anticipated titles. High Street Deals compares prices. Nintendo Numbers is a quiz, and Top 10's chart sales. Famous 5 Skeletons is a mystery. Games are scored from 0 to 100, with scores over 90 earning an Awesome award. They update scores for older games. The cover features Link and Zelda from Ocarina of Time, with Ganondorf. The magazine is heavily promoting Zelda for Christmas. Other features include Top Gear Overdrive. This is issue 51, and they claim to tell it like it is. This N64 game review covers a range of titles with varying success. Aero Fighters Assault and Aero Gauge are critically panned flight games. Airborder 64 and Biofreaks are decent but not outstanding. Body Harvest receives high praise for its bug-blasting adventure. Blast Corps earns positive reviews for its challenging robot destruction gameplay. All-Star Baseball 98 gets an awesome rating. Banjo-Kazooie also gets the awesome rating, lauded as one of the best platformers. Bomberman Hero is decent, while Buster Move 2 is a cute and addictive puzzler. Bomberman 64 disappoints with camera issues. Buck Bumble is praised for its action. Chameleon Twist is criticized for its confusing gameplay and poor design. Overall, the review highlights a mixed selection of games, with All-Star Baseball 98 and Banjo-Kazooie being the standout titles. This page focuses on rumble packs for the Nintendo 64, with reviews of various models like the Jolt Pack and Tremor Pack. The reviews then dive into a range of games. Diddy Kong Racing earns a high score of 92%, praised for its gameplay. Cruisin' USA flops with 54% due to poor graphics and sound. Duke Nukem 64 gets an 86%, lauded for its action. Other games reviewed include Buster Move 3, 85%, Chopper Attack, 79%, Dark Rift, 73%, Dual Heroes, 52%, Clay Fighter 63 and a third 25%, Doom 64, 78%, and Extreme G, 80%. The overall assessment is a mixed bag, with some standout titles, and several disappointing ones. This N64 review, titled Wicked Wheels, focuses on racing peripherals and games. Various steering wheel controllers are reviewed, ranging from £25 to £70, with the Top Gear wheel receiving praise for its solid feel and design, while others like the Performer are criticized. Game reviews are varied. F1 Pole Position 64 scores poorly, while the shooter Forsaken gets a high score. F1 World Grand Prix is lauded as the best driving sim, and F-Zero X is considered simply perfect. FIFA 64 gets a harsh review. The page also mentions N64 accessories, like a keyring, cleaning kit, and cables. Overall, the review highlights the typical mixed quality of N64 experiences, with both impressive and disappointing offerings. THQ advertised 4 Game Boy games in this full-page advert, back when the handheld was thriving alongside the N64. The lineup included Star Wars, Yoda Stories, promising puzzle-based missions as Luke Skywalker, and Small Soldiers, based on the movie, where you play as Archer. Star Wars, Return of the Jedi was also promoted, allowing players to experience the film's story, and World Cup '98, the officially licensed game for France '98, capitalizing on the World Cup hype. The ad highlights the mix of licensed titles that were standard for the Game Boy at the time, appealing to fans of the franchises. This review covers a range of N64 games, starting with a fond look back at Banjo-Kazooie's Freezy Peak. GoldenEye 007 earns a massive 94% for its sharp sounds, playability, and multiplayer, deemed the best on the console. Other notable scores include 85% for Glover, a unique game, and FIFA 98 RTWC, praised for its World Cup atmosphere. Fighters Destiny and Gex 64 also received decent scores. International Superstar Soccer 64 is highly rated with 91%. However, GT 64 Championship is criticized for its tracks, Hexen 64 receives a harsh 50%, and Gasp is overshadowed by Mortal Kombat 4. The reviews highlight the N64's diverse library, encompassing both iconic titles and games best left forgotten. This text reviews accessories and games for the original Game Boy. Accessories include the Pulse Pack, Rumble, Power Pack, rechargeable battery, pocket protector, case, compact car adapter, illuminated super zoom, magnifier, and handy pack, battery grip with larger buttons. Game reviews include Small Soldiers, 84%, described as fun but confusing. International Superstar Soccer, 93%, praised as a top-tier football game. Holy Magic Century, 84%, an average RPG, and Iggy's Wrecking Balls, 83%, a bizarre but enjoyable racer. Overall, the selection is deemed a decent mix of hardware and software for the classic handheld console. This review highlights a collection of N64 games. Lylat Wars, Star Fox 64, received a high score of 91%, praised for its sci-fi action. Mario Kart 64 followed with 90%, lauded for its racing gameplay and 4-player mode. Killer Instinct Gold, 80%, and Madden Football 64, 86%, also received positive reviews. Mortal Kombat 4 earned 90%, while Lamborghini struggled with a 76%. Mace, The Dark Age, 79%, and Mission Impossible, 81%, also featured. Some less successful titles included MK Mythologies, Sub-Zero, 36%, and MK Trilogy, 51%. Mystical Ninja, 88%, and Multi-Racing Championship, 83%, were also included. Overall, the review presents a mix of well-regarded and less successful titles, reflecting the variety of the N64 library. This page highlights deals on Nintendo 64 games and reviews several titles. A Nintendo 64 bundle is advertised for £99.98. Electronics Boutique and BTs offer price drops on games like F1 Pole Position and Dual Heroes. The reviews cover Nagano Winter Olympics, 75%, NBA Hang Time, 75%, NFL Blitz, 90%, NASCAR 99, 62%, NBA Courtside, 89%, and NFL Quarterback Club, 98, 90%. Nagano is comprehensive, but single player gets old. Hang Time is fun, but inferior to Courtside. NFL Blitz is praised for its arcade style and multiplayer fun. NASCAR 99 is repetitive and boring. NBA Courtside is the best basketball game, while NFL Quarterback Club 98 boasts stunning graphics and intense gameplay. This month's N64 reviews feature a diverse range of games. Sports titles like NBA Jam 99, 89%, NHL 99, 85%, and NFL Quarterback Club 99, 90% receive high praise. Other notable scores include Super Mario 64, 92%, a timeless platformer, and Quake 88%, a classic shooter. Pilotwings 64, 84%, offers a beautiful, if slow, flight experience. Rakuga Kids 85%, delivers a unique beat-em-up experience, while Robotron 64, 80% is fast-paced. Scars 84% features crazy animal car battles. However, some games fall short. Off-Road Challenge 68% is considered basic, and Rampage 64, 53% is just okay. San Francisco Rush and Shadows of the Empire both score 74%, with the latter being recommended only for dedicated Star Wars fans. Overall, a mix of hits and misses for this month's N64 offerings. This is an advertisement for Match magazine, proclaiming itself the UK's best-selling football magazine. The ad, with its classic 90s blue background and bold text, highlights key features across 4 cover mock-ups. These include the Best Results Service with Ryan Giggs, the Best Posters with Emmanuel Petit, the Best Competitions featuring Jamie Redknapp, and the Best Stars, Dwight York. Each cover promises posters, either 8 or 10, the Best Results Service, competitions, and star coverage. The ad concludes with the tagline, "Match it simply the best," and notes the magazine was available every Tuesday for 95p, a price unimaginable today. This page reviews N64 memory packs and games. Memory packs from various brands like Blaze, Joytech, and Datel are reviewed, noting price and memory size, up to 4 meg, essential for saving game data. Game reviews include 1080 Degree Snowboarding, 90%, praised for its visuals and challenge, Starshot, 75%, a frustrating but potentially rewarding futuristic circus game, Tetrisphere, 87%, a Doom-like game with dinosaurs, Silicon Valley, 82%, a quirky microchip puzzler, Top Gear Rally, 85%, a solid racing game, Turok 2, 94%, a significant improvement over the first, and Snowboard Kids, 81%, a less challenging. The reviews cover a range of genres and highlight the N64's diverse library. Tinner. This review covers a range of N64 games. Virtual Chess and Wily Golf both receive low scores, 64%, with Golf deemed a snore. V-Rally Edition 99 and WCW/NW O Revenge earn high praise with 90%, showcasing thrilling racing and wrestling action, respectively. Wave Race 64 gets an 83% for its jet ski gameplay, while War Gods is criticized with a 63% rating. The two Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey games are solid, with scores of 80% and 81%. World Cup 98 scores a high 91% for its Brill football action. XG2, the bike racer, gets 82% for its easy-to-play experience. Finally, the review notes Zelda has topped the My Top 10 chart, and the giveaway from HMV is mentioned. This page reviews various N64 controllers. The official Nintendo controller is still considered the best and is now more affordable. Third-party options include the SuperPad 64, OK cheap, Macapad, left-handed shoot-'em-ups, SharkPad Pro 64 platformers, Trident Pad, cheap, functional, Controller Plus 64 racing games, Manta Ray, stylish improved play, Competition Pro, serious players, Arcade Shark, beat-'em-ups, G64 controller, good handling, Mirage, all-rounder, and Trilogy 64, all-in-one but not great. The page also briefly mentions famous 5 skeletons in 64 games, highlighting undead characters in titles like Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Finally, WCW vs NWO receives an 86% rating, praised for its multiplayer, extensive roster, and Rumble/memory pack support, despite being somewhat slow-paced. This N64 page highlights the console's appeal and reviews several games. N64 Magic praises the console for its fun, like scoring in ISS 98. Reviews include Weetrix, 88%, a 3D puzzle game, WWF Warzone, 90%, a fast-paced wrestling game, Wipeout 64, 87%, a futuristic racer, Yoshi's Story, 88%, a dino adventure, and The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, 97%, declared the best game ever. Rakuga Kids, a beat-em-up, is also mentioned. The blockbuster rental chart is topped by WCW/NWO Revenge, followed by classics like 1080 Snowboarding and GoldenEye 007. Cool Rentals recommends games with the Awesome Award, suggesting Glover, Wipeout 64, or Rakuga Kids. This page offers tips and cheats for popular Nintendo 64 games. It covers a variety of genres, including platformers like Banjo-Kazooie, fighting games like Biofreaks, racing games like F1 World Grand Prix and F-Zero X, and shooters such as GoldenEye 007 and Mission Impossible. Also included are Iggy's Wrecking Balls, sports games like NFL Blitz and Silicon Valley, wrestling games like WCW/NWO Revenge and WWF Warzone, futuristic racing with XG2, and 1080 Snowboarding. The guide details specific cheats, like unlocking secret characters and levels in Iggy's Wrecking Balls, invincibility and unlimited ammo in Mission Impossible, and bottles bonus cheats for Banjo-Kazooie. These cheats involve button combinations and code words to enhance gameplay and unlock hidden content, providing players with an advantage in these classic N64 titles. This page from a retro Nintendo magazine details cheat codes for various N64 games. It begins with a controller icon guide. WCW/NW. O Revenge boasts secret characters unlocked through specific in-game achievements, like winning championships. Forsaken features codes for new bikes, presented in reverse and requiring a mirror to decipher. XG2, a racing game, offers a new play angle with the Spy Eye name entry and a Venom bike code achieved by winning a contest and entering a password. Finally, Off-Road Challenge promises hidden tracks, with clues presented in reverse text and requiring players to find them. This article provides cheat codes and tips for various N64 games. In Biofreaks, enter first-person view by holding Z and start, then R and start to revert. WWF Warzone offers new outfits with the C buttons and A. F1 World Grand Prix unlocks a bonus track by naming your driver Vacation and playing in exhibition mode. Mortal Kombat 4 has a cheat menu, options, continue, hold Z triggers and D-pad down, and easy fatalities, hold down and press B. Silicon Valley features hidden content, activated by holding A or B at startup. NHL 99 offers mirrored codes for enhanced gameplay and big player heads. 1080 Snowboarding lets you mix music in replay mode. Mortal Kombat 4 also offers big heads with a specific controller input. Completing GoldenEye 07's runway level quickly unlocks invincibility. Mission Impossible has a code, L, R, A, down C, Z, at level select. In WWF Warzone, win the WWF challenge with British Bulldog or The Rock, and use L and R in the basement with cheats on. Finally, Doom provides an invincibility, all weapons, all ammo, all maps, and full health cheat code. This page features cheat codes for N64 games. First up, NFL Blitz has codes for snow effects, oversized heads, tiny players, and no punting, all activated before a match. Next, F-Zero X reveals button combinations to unlock content and change ship colors, with a playful warning about its addictive nature. Finally, there's an advertisement for N64 Cheats, a premium-rate phone service offering hundreds of cheat codes for popular games like GoldenEye, Mario Kart, and Zelda. Callers could hear codes read to them for a fee, with some even winning prizes. The advert highlights a comprehensive list of games, and the numbers to call for those needing an advantage. Policy. This page is all about reader tips for various games, showing what people were sending in back then. Kicking things off is WWF Warzone. Remember creating your own wrestlers in that? Turns out folks were getting really creative trying to make celebrities. They've got instructions here for making characters like Spawn, Posh Spice, Baby Spice, and even bonkers ones like Mario and Pamela Anderson. Each has got a breakdown of the bits and bobs to change in the character creator. Moving on, there's a tip for Banjo-Kazooie about getting one over on Snapper the Shark in Treasure Trove Cove crafty way, to grab some honeycombs it seems. GoldenEye 007, as always, is popular, with a couple of bits. One's about getting Flaming Bond, and another for how to open the silo missile doors. Bet plenty of us needed that one back in the day. Lastly, F1 World Grand Prix gets a mention with a tip for making your car faster by playing with the setup, something about fuel loads. Proper racing tactics there. Looks like a few readers got a Wario's winner shout out for sending these in. Fair play to them. This retro gaming tips page offers help for various games. In Mortal Kombat 4, a reader needs fatality instructions, requiring holding down on the directional pad and pressing B at the finish him prompt. WWF Warzone users seek finisher move clarification. Some are only available when a wrestler's name is dark blue. GoldenEye 007 help involves surviving control center. Plant remote mines strategically. Diddy Kong Racing provides info on unlocking future Funland tracks without Whizpig and a zipper trick. New ways to play features GoldenEye's King of the Hill multiplayer mode and F1 Joust in F1 World Grand Prix. The Can You Help section covers unlocking Mortal Kombat 4's meat and obtaining custom Bomberman 64 parts via mail. This Your Scores feature from a late 90s Nintendo magazine highlights player achievements in 4 popular games, 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, F-Zero X, Vrally, and F1 World Grand Prix. The challenges involved achieving the fastest times on specific tracks within each game. 1080 degrees snowboarding focused on Deadly Fall, F0 X on Silence, Rally on England, and F1 World Grand Prix on Japan. The magazine provided basic tips for each game, such as using the 3D stick for a quick start in 1080 degrees, or boosting constantly in F0 X. The results section reveals the top players and their impressive times. Matthew Maudsley led in 1080 degrees, Danny Dunn in Yoshi's Story, Jonathan Wright in F1 World Grand Prix, and Kevin Martin in Forsaken. The feature is a nostalgic snapshot of competition and bragging rights from the era. This page from a magazine details the Mega Challenge, a gaming competition culminating in a GoldenEye deathmatch at the magazine's office, Nom Towers. The final round featured 4 players battling for the title, and £250 in Nintendo prizes. Before the final, Nintendo hosted events at shopping centers, letting people play games and win prizes. The page also included a warning against cheating in score submissions, especially in GoldenEye, with Donkey Kong as the enforcer. Readers were encouraged to submit their high scores for a chance to win prizes like controllers. The page ends on a cliffhanger, prompting readers to turn the page to discover the winner of the GoldenEye tournament. The Mega Challenge was a GoldenEye competition held to find the best UK player and award £250 in Nintendo prizes. Qualifiers were held, and the final round took place on the facility map with 20 kills on License to Kill, using power weapons. 4 finalists competed: Rob Pearce, Paul Moran, Chris McCallum, and Neil Friedman. Paul Moran ultimately won, achieving 20 kills. Chris McCallum came in second with 16 kills, while Rob Pearce and Neil Friedman tied with 11 kills each. As prizes, Paul received the grand prize, and the others got a Nom t-shirt and a copy of GT64. All the finalists celebrated with burgers at Planet Hollywood. The Mega Challenge final for GoldenEye is underway, with a second competition planned at Nom Towers in London on April 17, 1999. To enter, players needed to be among the 4 fastest to kill 50 enemies in the jungle level, submitting a screenshot as proof. The winner would receive prizes like games, a pad, and Rumble Pack, along with a shopping spree. Even finalists received a meal and runner-up prizes. Entry closed on March 31, 1999. The rules dictated character selection and the deathmatch map, with no arguments allowed. Missing the final resulted in disqualification, with the 5th place qualifier taking your spot. This article reviews a guide for the F1 World Grand Prix game on the N64. It's part of a series offering racing tips, covering topics like winning, handling bends, and track analysis. The guide includes a humorous "we said" box boasting lifelike replays, though the graphics were blocky. The core of the article focuses on the Austria track. It provides detailed instructions for each numbered section, offering specific advice on braking, gear changes, and cornering strategies. The guide highlights the track's straights and hairpins, mentioning its suitability for certain cars, and even pointing out famous drivers like Damon Hill in the screenshots. This level of detail would be helpful for players struggling with the track. This page continues the racing tips for F1 World Grand Prix on the N64, and this time we're tackling the Luxembourg and Japan tracks. First up is Luxembourg, which they reckon is like the Nürburgring in Germany. They're not kidding, it looks a right nightmare for cornering, telling you straight away to not cut corners unless you fancy a disqualification. They've broken down 6 sections of the track, with tips like taking the first bend at full speed, being careful of gravel, and slowing right down for a hairpin. Number 4 bend is flagged as especially dangerous, and then for number 6 they even advise cutting inside if someone is blocking you cheeky. Then it's on to race 16 in Japan, Suzuka. They're hyping this one up as a track for experts, and they're right, Suzuka is a proper test. Again, 6 sections with advice. They start by saying overtaking is tough, so get a good qualifying spot. Tips include getting to grips with the snaking bends, not oversteering, and using them by now for a bend charming. They point out a major hairpin with a crane, and then tell you to floor it on the last hairpin before the final straight. Good old second gear gets a mention for the final bend too. Both tracks have little maps with danger bits marked out. Classic stuff for these guides back in the day, making sure you didn't bin it before the finish line. This guide offers tips for 2 tracks in F1 World Grand Prix, starting with Jerez, Race 17 Europe. Jerez is described as a test of skills, with advice on overtaking, braking points, and navigating gravel traps. Specific sections highlight areas where a slight error can lead to disqualification and suggest slowing down for a tight corner. The final bend requires a second gear approach. The guide then introduces a bonus track in Hawaii, Race 18, unlocked upon completing the Grand Prix. This track is designed for fun, with scenic elements like a bridge and volcano. Tips include gear recommendations for specific turns and advice on accelerating out of corners. The final bend is deemed tame compared to other challenges. The guide concludes with a congratulatory message and suggests playing against a friend. This page is a call and win competition advert, proper old school this is. Looks like you could win a load of stuff by calling these premium rate numbers. Cheeky. They're giving away a Nintendo 64 with 3 games of your choice, which back then was the dream, wasn't it? Then they've got individual games up for grabs, like Zelda 64, Metal Gear Solid, ISS Pro 98, Tekken 3, all the big hitters of the time, Toka, F1 97, Colony Wars, Vengeance, Turok 2, Crash Bandicoot Warped, Colony Wars again, GoldenEye, 1080 Snowboarding, Tomb Raider 2, Mission Impossible, Banjo-Kazooie, Tomb Raider 3, Body Harvest Rally, Medieval, Future Cop, LAPD, 2100, and Wipeout 64. Quite a list. Makes you think back to all those hours spent glued to the screen. Then there's a section for win accessories. You could win a Game Boy camera and printer combo. Remember those dodgy black and white pictures? A pager, showing my age now, and a mobile phone, probably brick-like by today's standards, and a color Game Boy fancy. Finally, under win prizes, they've got a PSX 002 and a white PSX worth whatever that means, and a PlayStation driving seat. All in all, a classic games competition page tempting you to spend your pocket money on phone calls hoping to win big. Those call charges at £1 a minute though, blimey. Bet a few parents weren't too happy when the phone bills came in after this. This page from a Nintendo magazine focuses on Turok 2, Seeds of Evil for the N64, promising dinosaur hunting action. It highlights tips for the first level, Port of Adia, detailing objectives like activating beacons and rescuing children. The magazine includes a "We Said" quote claiming Turok 2 is the scariest game on the N64. A walkthrough guides players through Port of Adia with numbered screenshots showing how to collect gems, blow up barrels, and find power cells. The guide encourages exploration using the map and navigating tunnels, ladders, and transporters. It provides clear advice for progressing in the early stages, emphasizing the core gameplay of fighting dinosaurs and completing objectives. This guide offers Turok 2 gameplay tips, focusing on early game challenges. Turok Help details rescuing children, guiding the player through specific level navigation involving water, bridges, and teleporters. The Killing Fields instructs players on activating distress beacons, emphasizing the use of a shotgun to defeat enemies like plasma guys and raptors. This section is a step-by-step guide to locating and activating the 4 beacons to complete the mission, including utilizing a warp gate for saving and health. Treasure Hunt reminds players to collect gems, with red gems worth 1 and yellow worth 10, and shows a few gem locations. It concludes that the guide offers much-needed support for a difficult game. What? This magazine page continues the Turok 2 guide, focusing on early game areas. Warped covers warp portal activation, including a mention of the tech bow. Deserted City details level navigation, highlighting switch puzzles, bridge crossings, and dino attacks. The guide sarcastically praises the level's design and complexity. Finally, Save the Children focuses on rescuing the last child, including switch puzzles, raptor combat, and teleportation. The guide ends with a cheeky reminder to utilize the teleport, suggesting that the levels, while challenging, would have benefited from a step-by-step guide. This guide section covers a level in Turok 2, likely Arcadia. The upper layers focuses on platforming and exploration, including lever pulls, switch hunting, and sniping enemies with the tech bow. The guide provides button prompts for sniper mode. The Big Fight details a battle after a warp portal, advising players to stock up on ammo and health. The fight involves swordsmen and plasma enemies, with headshots recommended. After victory, a nuke weapon part is obtained. Cleaning Up covers the final stage, involving eliminating remaining enemies and protecting a totem. This includes finding a level 3 key, following gems, flipping switches, and returning to the fountain area. The guide finishes with general pointers about using ladders and platforms, and provides information on the totem's energy and enemy strength. This page is a full-on blast of Turok 2, Seeds of Evil artwork. It's a proper action-packed scene with that bloke from the game, Renderman or whatever he's called, giving it large with a massive minigun, surrounded by those Velociraptor dinos. Classic Turok really, eh? Right in your face action. It's one of those free posters you used to get in the official Nintendo magazine back in the day. Probably stuck this one straight on my bedroom wall back then, alongside all the other N64 artwork. Good times. Definitely screams late 90s N64 era, doesn't it? Given the guide on the previous page was all about Turok 2, it figures they'd have a poster for it right after. Bit of a double whammy of Turok, if you ask me. This guide details Level 2, River of Souls, from Turok 2. The level begins with a Triceratops ride, tops, used to destroy drone guns and open gates with rockets or a cannon. Next, you'll navigate through spider-infested areas, climb slopes, and snipe enemies, avoiding hazardous green water and collecting gate keys. Following that, the guide emphasizes on-foot combat, utilizing the Techbo sniper sight to hit switches and eliminate foes. Finally, it prepares you for a boss fight, advising players to stockpile ammo and suggesting the use of shotguns and headshots to defeat enemies and secure the nuke piece, guarded by two powerful opponents. This Turok 2 guide excerpt covers Level 2, River of Souls. The guide details the player's progression, starting with undead enemies and a soul gate. Players must solve puzzles involving switches, bridges, and explosive barrels to find a passage. Next, the guide tackles the first Sister of Despair, emphasizing the need for strafing and heavy firepower to defeat her. The following section describes the second sister's encounter, involving sniper raptors, rooftop navigation, switch puzzles, and backtracking to uncover a secret passage. A tranquilizer gun is mentioned as helpful. Finally, the guide concludes with going for a swim, detailing underwater sections with gem paths, spiders, and teleportation, typical underwater level design elements. This guide for Turok 2 covers a section after Find the Graveyard. Players must solve puzzles involving a deep pool, red gems, and switches. The last soul gate requires finding a key and using a talisman to access a bridge and platform. Next is the third sister boss fight, a three-part battle involving clearing enemies, activating switches near a poison pool, and retrieving graveyard keys. Defeating her unlocks ultra health. Finally, the end, which isn't, requires defending the energy totem again, using a sniper rifle, and collecting the first Primogen key. The guide concludes with a tease for the next month's guide, focusing on the marshes and the Breath of Life talisman. This guide from a gaming magazine is dedicated to the N64 game Rally Edition 99. It promises to help players master the game's rally racing. The guide covers essential aspects like cornering techniques, car control, and understanding road signs, with screenshots and controller button prompts. The guide breaks down cornering strategies, including braking, turning, and accelerating. It recommends using the handbrake for tight corners. It also highlights specific cars, recommending the Seat Ibiza for beginners, the Renault Megane for speed, and the Hyundai Coupe for tarmac tracks. Additional sections explain road signs and suggest using the D-pad over the analog stick for better control, especially to prevent oversteering. Overall, the guide offers practical advice for players looking to improve their Rally Edition 99 skills. This guide covers the Indonesia stages in Rally Edition 99. Stage 1 is a straightforward introduction, featuring sweeping bends and long straights, ideal for maintaining speed and overtaking. Stage 2 increases the difficulty with sharp turns, chicanes requiring hard braking, and a tricky final corner. Stage 3 offers a mix of easy and challenging sections, with an emphasis on cornering skills. The stage starts with simple bends, progresses through a medium left turn, and concludes with a sharp left turn near the finish. The guide emphasizes the importance of speed on straights, controlled braking, and handbrake use in the tighter corners. This page is a full-page advert, splashed across the magazine for Rally Edition 99 on the N64. Right after that Indonesia stage guide, clever placement, eh? It's a pretty dramatic shot of a rally car, proper muddy, and looking like it's just been tearing it up through some forest track. You've got the Ford logo front and center on the grille, and all the Infogrames branding plastered over it. Those were the days when you knew Infogrames meant you were probably in for a decent racer, or at least something trying to be. There's a little free poster banner up in the corner, classic mag freebie to get you hooked. And of course it wouldn't be complete without the Nintendo official magazine logo proudly displayed, letting you know you're getting the proper Nintendo seal of approval, even if it is just an advert. So yeah, Rally 99 looking intense and ready to get down and dirty on the N64. This page provides stage guides for the England stages in Rally Edition 99, focusing on stages 1, 2, and 3. Stage 1, England Stage 1, introduces rainy conditions, with tips on navigating slippery roads and taking corners carefully. Stage 2, England Stage 2, emphasizes speed and stability on uneven terrain, advising drivers to stay centered and cautious on chicanes. Stage 3, England Stage 3, highlights the challenges of heavy rain, reinforcing the need for careful cornering and anticipating slippery surfaces. Each stage guide includes screenshots to illustrate track layouts and in-game action, emphasizing the game's challenging nature, especially concerning weather effects. This guide covers stages 1, 2, and 3 in Spain for Rally Edition 99. Stage 1 is a coastal night drive with straights and bends, emphasizing asphalt handling and managing left/right turns. Stage 2 features low clouds and S-bends, advising low gears and caution due to limited visibility, especially on bumps and hairpins. Stage 3, set in a town, presents tight chicanes and hard right turns, requiring hard braking and precise maneuvering. The guide highlights the varied conditions and track types, aiming for an immersive rally experience. Visual aids like track maps and screenshots were crucial for navigating the stages back then. This page is pure 90s competition page gold, isn't it? It's all about winning big, and by big I mean things like a Nintendo 64, naturally, or maybe a Pentium 2 computer, if you were feeling flush. They've got all sorts of instant win competitions here, from zapping aliens to arresting Bowser Brothers. Bit cheeky that, isn't it? You could bag yourself a copy of Mission Impossible, F1 World Grand Prix, 1080 snowboarding, or even Turok 2. Turok 2, I remember that being pretty intense back then, proper step up from the first one. Then you've got the prize buster bit, classic high score competition. The better you do, the bigger the prize. Could be anything from personal stereos to a 14-inch telly, or even another N64. Imagine. They're also giving away games accessories, which could be handy. Other random prizes include a CD system inside a giant Coke Kanumanda. Bit of a weird one that. And Adidas sports watches, Amstrad micro hi-fis, Sony Discmans, rollerblades. Rounding it off, there's more chances to win 64s, Game Boy cameras, Sony PlayStations, Tomb Raider 2i, and Tekken 2i. All the big hitters of the time really, properly enticing stuff to get you on the phone and racking up those premium rate call charges. Cheeky monkeys. Club Mario's letters page features reader responses on various topics. One reader inquired about a screenshot from scars used in a Graystation competition with Nintendo's involvement. Another reader expressed unspecified disappointment with Mortal Kombat 4. Keith from Southend complained about game release dates, while another questioned the delay of finished games. Dave and Tim discussed N64 light gun games, with a reader requesting coverage of Knife Edge. The F1 World Grand Prix advert's replay-only focus drew criticism, though the game remains highly rated. The page also includes a brain strain quiz covering N64 games like Castlevania, Chameleon Twist 2, Harvest Moon 64, Bomberman Hero, and World League Soccer 99. Who's the Hero? Offered a Nintendo character guessing game, and Dressed for Success showcased a GoldenEye-inspired costume, encouraging readers to submit photos for a chance to win a Zelda prize. This Club Mario page features reader interaction with various games and discussions. A Who's the Hero game is presented. The reader chart highlights Michael from Basingstoke's top N64 games, sparking debate about Mortal Kombat 4. Readers are excited for Zelda and praise Mario Kart 64's multiplayer. Name That Game offers a quiz. The letters section includes feedback on game rentals, the growing N64 game selection, and Tim's 1999 release schedule. There's also a competition to win a Turok 2 t-shirt. My Game Club Manager 98 gets a spotlight, described as a football management sim for the N64. Finally, Snappy Moment showcases Game Boy camera photos, featuring Yusuf's creative Mario picture. Ashley Robinson, a teenager from Basildon, had his bedroom featured after pleading with the Nom crew. The visit resulted in a sack of Nintendo goodies. Ashley's interests include Nintendo games like Wave Race 64 and the Game Boy camera, as well as music from Oasis and the Now Cheshire series. He enjoys golf with his dad, supports Arsenal, and plays the saxophone, often loudly. He's also built a Kinex plane, and owns Lego Technics. Gaming-wise, he's into shoot-em-ups, particularly GoldenEye, and enjoys stargazing. He received prizes including F-Zero X, 1080 snowboarding, and a wee trick sponge after a sax performance and Mario Kart 64 game. The feature concluded with a call for other readers to submit their bedroom photos. Ashley even won against Tim and Alex in Mario Kart 64. Club Mario features reader contributions. Your Art showcases fan art, including a humorous drawing of South Park characters at a Nintendo party and colorful F-Zero X art. Mario's Hit List polls readers on their favorite Christmas games, expectations for Zelda, and anticipated 1999 releases, including Game Boy Color discussions. Ultimate Warrior highlights a reader's custom villain and fan feedback on Banjo-Kazooie, with comparisons to GoldenEye and humorous comments about younger siblings and game prices. Who's the Hero challenges readers to identify the mystical ninja. The section concludes with answers, quiz solutions, and a staff listing, who does what. This page is still in the Club Mario section and kicks off with some kick-ass South Park stuff. They're giving away loads of South Park goodies, like mugs, books, and even a Kenny plushie who looks like he's seen better days. Poor sod. There's a quick question about which South Park character mumbles through his orange coat. Must be Kenny then. Then it's all about a Blagfest competition where you can win South Park gear, Glover bits and bobs, and copies of the massive Zelda, Ocarina of Time game. Zelda lives, declares the page, and rightly so. It's finally out, and apparently every bit as good as we hoped. Which is a bit of an understatement. It was a system seller, wasn't it? They're giving away 5 copies, which is decent. Another question, this time about who the star of Zelda is. Come on, that's gotta be Link, hasn't it? No brainer. Hasn't it? Lastly, there's a grab some action bit about Glover, and they're flogging off Glover mitts. There's a question about a character helping Glover with power crystals, with options like Bottles, Navi, and Mr. Tip. You just have to send in a postcard to enter these comps. Bit old school, but easy enough. Remember to mark your entry, South Park Compo, Zelda Compo, or Glover Compo, depending on what you're after. Right then, back to it. This magazine page encourages reader participation through several sections. Club Mario welcomes general opinions on the magazine, Nintendo, and games. You Review offers a chance to win a Nintendo 64 game for writing a review, focusing on game specifics like graphics and overall verdict. My Game invites readers to submit their fantasy Nintendo game ideas, also with a chance to win a game. My Charts asks for readers' top 5 favorite Nintendo games. The page includes a section for personal information for prize winners. Readers are instructed to physically mail in their responses, emphasizing a classic, non-digital approach. This page is a right nostalgic throwback, isn't it? It's one of those mail-in forms from the magazine, proper old school, before everything went online. It's for sending your letters and bits to Club Mario, which was the letters page basically. You could tick which section you were contributing to, Club Mario itself for general chat about Nintendo, You Review if you fancied yourself a game critic, My Charts for your top 5 games, or even My Game if you had a brilliant idea for the next big Nintendo hit. Bless them, they actually wanted you to post these things in. It's all set up to be cut out and folded into a little envelope itself, proper Blue Peter style, eh? You fold along lines 1 through 4, stick it down along the side at step 6, and whack a stamp in the box. Then you post it off to that London address for the Nintendo official magazine. Bit of a weird instruction though. Says, don't put anything in this envelope. Presumably they mean don't stuff it full of bulky things, just the form itself. Otherwise, what's the point of sending it in? Still, brings back memories of a simpler time, eh? This advertisement from Gameplay, a mail-order company from the N64 era, showcases a wide selection of games and hardware. Targeting the British market, the ad highlights N64 consoles and bundles, with options like the console itself for £75 or bundles including titles such as Mario 64, Zelda, and GoldenEye. The catalogue boasts a comprehensive game library, featuring popular titles like Ocarina of Time, Turok 2, and F-Zero X, alongside sports games and less popular titles. Accessories included official and colored joypads, rumble packs, and memory cards. They also sold steering wheels and even Game Boy products. The ad's order form emphasizes the nostalgic process of filling out details and paying via check, postal order, or card, a stark contrast to modern online shopping. This page highlights upcoming Nintendo games, with Duke Nukem 0 Hour for the N64 taking center stage. The game promises classic Duke action, aliens, explosions, time travel, and multiplayer. Developed by Euro.com, it's slated for a March '99 release. The N64 section also features Animaniacs, Detective 64, Jet Force Gemini, Lego Racers, Let's Smash, Gomon 2, Rampage Universal Tour, Smash Bros., and Winback. While Jet Force Gemini and Smash Bros. Stood out, the lineup is varied, catering to different tastes. For the Game Boy, Pokémon, Sylvester and Tweety, and Rugrats are the featured titles. Duke Nukem 0 Hour's gameplay is described as a wild ride, starting in an army chopper and venturing into the Wild West. Overall, it's a preview of the exciting titles coming to both platforms. This page carries on the Duke Nukem 0 Hour lovin', focusing on the weapons. They're bigging up the sniper rifle, saying you can zoom in and blow heads off. Classic Duke humor there. Apparently you can still move while using the scope, which is handy, and the headshots cause enemies to explode and bounce charming. They even mention the first level from Duke Nukem 64 is back in 0 Hour but now in 3D, which is a nice touch for fans. The page also highlights the guns galore in the game, saying no Duke game would be complete without a stack of weapons, and 0 Hour is no exception. They mention you start with the normal bullet weapons like Uzis and shotguns, but later get lasers, including the lightning gun. They briefly describe the shotgun, lightning and rockets, stating the shotgun is standard and reliable, the lightning gun fires a bolt of electricity, and the rockets fire 3 rockets at once for superior firepower. There's also a little box out the side, mentioning a wet world level where Duke has to squeeze into a wetsuit, which sounds a bit different but it's Duke in it, always something a bit daft going on. Overall it seems like they're really pushing the weapon variety and the over-the-top action in this Duke Nukem game. This article previews upcoming N64 games. Duke Nukem 0 Hour is now fully 3D, featuring a variety of enemies and a 4-player multiplayer mode. Jet Force Gemini, a new shooter from Rare, is nearing completion, targeting a mid-1999 release and potentially requiring the memory expansion pack. A sequel to 1080 has been cancelled. Superman on the N64 is delayed. Buck Bumble, a shoot-'em-up with a robotic bee, includes a free rumble pack. Finally, for Mortal Kombat fans, a Fox Kids marathon is planned for December 23rd. Duke Nukem is touted as a potential 1999 classic. This page is a full-page advert for Starshot, Space Circus Fever, on the N64. It's got a proper cosmic background, all sparkly with stars, and the tagline is something dramatic like, "Soon, a new star will be born." Right at the bottom it mentions Infogrames, so they were behind this one. And of course the Nintendo 64 logo is there, reminding you where you'll be experiencing this new star birth. Nothing on Earth will prepare you. A bit dramatic for a game about Space Circus Fever, isn't it? Still, it's the N64 era, everything was supposed to be mind-blowing. Get ready for a new N64 brawler, Super Smash Bros. This 3D beat-em-up, slated for a summer '99 release, features Nintendo's iconic characters like Mario, Kirby, Pikachu and Donkey Kong. Battle Royale mode supports up to 4 players, with 8 heroes and 4 secret characters promised. In other news, Donkey Kong Country cartoons are coming to Fox Kids in December. Jeff Gordon is getting a futuristic racing game on the N64. Zelda, Ocarina of Time received a perfect score from Famitsu. WCW/NWO Revenge beat Metal Gear Solid in the US charts on PlayStation. Finally, Ogre Battle 3 might see a Kekus and potentially UK release. Koi. This page is all about Starshot, Space Circus Fever, on the N64. Looks like they were trying to pitch him as the next big thing after Mario, bless him. The universe has a new hero, and this one juggles. Catchy, I suppose. They're really pushing the juggling angle, and it's from Infogrames, who did Croc, so you kind of know what you're getting. The ad copy goes on about Starshot being set to be the biggest star since Super Mario, which is a bold claim back then, especially with Mario 64 setting the bar so high. He flies, he swims, he juggles the works. The story is about saving the Space Circus from the rival Virtua Circus. Sounds a bit daft, to be honest, but hey, it's a kid's game. You're supposed to collect circus acts, explore planets, and meet loads of weird aliens. Over 300 they reckon, all in glorious 3D graphics. They're really laying it on thick. Best game in the universe, bit much isn't it? Down at the bottom there are a few screenshots showing off the game. Looks colourful enough. Typical 3D platforming stuff you'd expect on the N64. Nintendo 64 logo is there of course, and the Infogrames one too. Nothing on Earth will prepare you, it says at the bottom. Probably just as well. Earth was doing alright without Space Circus jugglers last time I checked. This page is about 2 games, Lego Racers and Pokémon. First up, Lego Racers, which they're calling a cutesy speedster in the Mario Kart mold. Bit cheeky comparing it to Mario Kart, but yeah, I guess it's that sort of vibe, but with Lego. They're banging on about customizing your Lego cars and racing against computer-controlled speed freaks. Sounds a laugh, I suppose, if you're into Lego. They've got little screenshots showing off Lego Castle, Dark Forest, and Ice World, which look alright for the N64, blocky as you'd expect, but colourful. They say the tracks are full of power-ups and hazards, typical racer stuff really. They reckon if you like Diddy Kong Racing you'll be into this, which is probably a fair shout, both aimed at the younger end, weren't they? Hazards. Then we've got a bit on Pokemon, calling it a pocket guide. Seems Pokemon's finally coming to the UK, on the Game Boy, about time. Everyone had been importing it for ages already. They're introducing Ash, Bulbasaur, Pikachu, and Charmander, the usual suspects. Stating the obvious, saying there are 150 monsters to collect, and some are rare. No kidding, it's like they're just discovering Pokemon now, a bit behind the curve, aren't they? Still, good to see it finally getting a proper push over here. This page is an advert for Space Station Silicon Valley. It's wild! They're shouting at the top, laying it on thick as usual. Apparently, this game is throwing in every genre under the sun. Strategy, RPG, adventure and racing, all in one they reckon. Spectacular game, they're calling it. Bit much before anyone's even played it, isn't it? Then there's a quote from themselves. Start saving now. Right, cheers lads, always good to get your own opinion rammed down your throat. Looking at the picture, it's all these cartoon animal characters bombing around on vehicles. It's full of real animals, they're claiming at the bottom. Yeah, real, as in computer-generated polygons. Published by Take-Two Interactive, so you know it's going to be something. And of course it's for the N64, they wouldn't miss a trick, would they? Website address there too if you're really desperate to find out more. Basically, it's your typical full-page hype job to try and get you to part with your hard-earned cash. This page is all about winback for the N64. Koei's take on the 3D shoot-'em-up genre. They're saying it's out in spring '99. Great guns, action heroes, cool multiplayer blaster, that's their little summary. They reckon if you're waiting for Perfect Dark, this'll tide you over. Winback's about this strategic covert actions team, SCAT, and they're up against terrorists who've nicked a satellite station and are threatening to use space weapons. Bit dramatic, eh? You've got 3 hours apparently before they start blowing up the world, so you better get a move on, soldier. Expow. There's a bit about the cutscenes, saying they're tense and move the plot along and to watch out for clues. And the lighting effects are supposed to be realistic. Check out the reflections on Jean-Luc's face, they say. Cool stuff. Multiplayer's mentioned too. They're calling it multiplayer mayhem and saying it's got options that could give GoldenEye a run for its money. There are 4 2-player modes they list. Deathmatch, which is just like GoldenEye, hunt your mate and blow him up. Lethal tag, find the supergun and kill your mate with 1 shot. Cube hunt, race to find 7 numbered blocks. And quick draw, take out moving, numbered cubes. Sounds like your standard multiplayer fare for the time, nothing groundbreaking but should be a laugh with your mates. The page features a preview of the game Winback, highlighting its action and protagonist, Jean-Luc. The reviewer poses the question of whether it will be a successful game, encouraging reader feedback. The We Think section suggests the game is promising, potentially rivaling Bond. The page then showcases advertisements. One for Nintendo 64 interactive cheat line, a cheat code database, and another for Whizbang, an online and mail-order game retailer. Finally, an advertisement for W-Touch Academy. Entertainment Direct promotes new and used console games, pre-orders, and special offers on PlayStation, Sega, and Nintendo consoles, emphasizing competitive pricing and customer guarantees. This page is all about the grand final of the Twix Games Player of the Year Challenge, held at the Virgin Megastore in London. Seems like the cream of the crop of British Nintendo players battled it out to be crowned the best, and it all came down to GoldenEye 007 on the N64 of course. Regional heats narrowed it down to the top 8 gamers, and the big challenge was indeed GoldenEye multiplayer. Last man standing, head to head. Easy peasy for these pros apparently. The prize was pretty sweet too, a grand's worth of software, and the title of Best Nintendo Gamer. Reeds narrowed to head. They were playing License to Kill mode in GoldenEye, which is a classic. It was all about who got the most hits in 5 minutes. Controllers were wielded, and apparently no prisoners were taken. Serious business. The photos show the intensity, blokes thrashing it out with the N64 controllers, crowd watching, and the winner James Ferry, looking rather pleased with his Champions Cup, a box of Twix and his winnings. GoldenEye multiplayer was the game of choice, 3 heats of 2-player madness as they put it. They even mentioned the pressure mounting, and 5 minutes being a short time to prove your skill. Very true in GoldenEye. Things can change fast with a well-placed grenade launcher. Seems James Ferry was the GoldenEye master in the end, walking away with the prize and bragging rights until the next challenge. Nintendo news includes a colorful Rugrats platformer for Game Boy Color coming spring '99, potential 64DD add-ons for Zelda, Ocarina of Time though unlikely to release widely, Animaniacs' 10-pin alley bowling game called Mini Racers, Rare denies involvement, a new expansion puck icon for N64 games, indicating enhanced graphics, and Rampage Universal Tour for N64, the sequel to Rampage World Tour, featuring new monsters and classic 2D gameplay. The Rugrats Game Boy Color game is especially highlighted for its impressive graphics. This page is all about Mystical Ninja Goemon 2 for the N64. Blimey, another one of these, eh? They're calling it Mystical Ninja 2 Goemon. Seems a bit of a mouthful, doesn't it? Anyway, looks like Konami are back with more of their quirky Japanese madness. They're boasting about gorgeous graphics, manic monsters, frantic action, and an amazing 3D look. Sounds like they're throwing everything at this one. It's down as a 3D platformer/RPG, coming out in May '99 apparently. The article mentions that it's a sequel to the first Mystical Ninja on the N64, and reckons it's going back to the series' Japanese roots. They say the graphics are fully 3D this time, which is a step up, and that some familiar enemies are popping up again for another go at Goemon and his mates. Apparently the game kicks off with an opening movie showing Goen to Non and his pals battling aliens, and it's got a Japanese pop song too, which is, well, typically Goen to Non then, isn't it? Always a bit out there. Mystical Ninja 2 Goemon, or whatever it's called, sees Goemon and Ebisumaru embarking on a quest after aliens steal an inventor's machine. The game blends action platforming with RPG elements. Action levels feature fast-paced platforming, puzzle solving, and 3D jumping sections with side-scrolling gameplay, incorporating mechanics like swinging, rolling, and ball-form jumps. RPG levels offer colorful 3D worlds similar to the original Mystical Ninja, allowing players to explore, interact with NPCs, accept missions, and revisit areas. This integration lets players find hidden items. The developers highlight the colorful 3D worlds as a key selling point. While only 2 heroes are initially available, more will become playable later in the game. This page showcases more about Mystical Ninja Goemon 2. They're banging on about the day and night cycle, showing how the game changes as it gets darker, with spooky green ghosts appearing at night, naturally making things a bit tougher when the sun goes down, because who doesn't love a bit of after-dark monster bashing? Then there's horseplay, which is a bit of alright, letting Goemon ride a horse. Seems you can clobber enemies with a big pipe to get on the horse, and then stampede over everything. Apparently, later in the game you get Yaemon the mermaid, and Sasuke for underwater bits. Sounds like they're throwing in a bit of everything but the kitchen sink. The last bit is about the 2-player mode, 2 can play, which is always a laugh back in the day on the N64. Looks like you can play as Goemon and Ebisumaru together, proper co-op style, having to work together and not get in each other's way, especially when there are massive stone balls rolling about. They reckon the graphics are some of the best on the N64, which, well, for the time they were pretty colorful and cartoony, weren't they? Good times. This page is still banging on about Goemon 2, showing off a few more bits from the game. They're pointing out a skeleton boss, reckon it's one of the biggest in the game, and will squash you flat. Bit dramatic, aren't they? Then there's a bit about statues at the end of levels that you smash open for goodies, with Ebisumaru apparently giving you a present, which they joke might look like flowers but is really a fighting club. Righto. The rest of the page is a big advert for Nintendo collectibles. Looks like they're flogging beanbag characters for £9.99, saying kids will just love them. Well, maybe. They've got a load of them based on popular characters like Banjo-Kazooie, Mumbo Jumbo, Mario, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Bowser, Diddy Kong, Wario, Luigi and Toad. That's a fair whack of characters. They really are trying to get everyone, aren't they? Lol. Then below that they've got action figures, which are a bit pricier at £15.99 for a pack of 3. This pack includes Zelda, Link and Ganon, so going straight for the Zelda fans there. They're available from all good computer game shops and toy shops, and you can even order them by mail from Excitement Direct. Sounds like they're pushing these pretty hard, must be hoping to cash in on the N64 craze. Typical. This page previews upcoming games and offers news. Sylvester and Tweety, Breakfast on the Run for Game Boy Color, an action-adventure with 3D elements, is expected in January '99. LucasArts is developing Pod Racer, a Star Wars racing game for N64 based on the Phantom Menace. Advice for Zelda players warns of a Goma boss bug in Ocarina of Time. GoldenEye wins a BAFTA. Ultraman Battle Collection 64 for N64 allows collecting and battling characters, similar to Pokemon. Detective 64, a Japanese board game for N64, is not recommended. Finally, the review of Let's Smash, a tennis game for N64, compares it unfavorably to Super Tennis. Special Reserve is advertising gaming gear, primarily for the Nintendo 64. They offer console bundles like the N64 with GoldenEye or Mario 64 for around £90. Controller options include official ones and brands like Mad Catz. A wide selection of N64 games, including classics like Ocarina of Time and Mario Kart 64, are priced around £20.30. They also sell Super NES and Game Boy Color accessories, including the Game Boy camera. A Join the Club offer provides magazines, cheats, and a free gift for £6.99. A deal offers £2 off with the purchase of another game or accessory. The advert also features a PC, Max 4D 333, and Game Boy Color deals. The business operates brick-and-mortar stores in the South East and Midlands, a stark contrast to modern online retail. The Nintendo official magazine is hyping its next issue as the biggest and best, promising exclusive coverage. 6 promises are made to readers, including first looks at N64 and Game Boy games, reliable tips and cheats, and trustworthy writing. The featured game is Micro Machines 64 Turbo, with previews of tracks, weapons, and characters. The issue also teases updates on Castlevania 64, Hybrid Heaven, and a review of Star Wars, Rogue Squadron. Rogue Squadron's review is teased to be positive. Overall, the magazine aims to generate excitement for its January 23rd release, promising comprehensive Nintendo news and previews. This page is all about Duke Nukem, 0 Hour. Hail to the King baby, it says at the top. Classic Duke line that. Can't get away from it, can you? They're promising to reveal all about the game, covering how it plays, all the levels, the weapons and the monsters. The usual hype. Down at the bottom there's a tips section, looks like they've got some extra bits for Turok 2 and Rally 99. Can't go wrong with Turok 2, proper game that. Rally 99, yeah, it was alright. Better than some racing games on the console for sure. They're also promising all the very best codes and cheats, which is always handy. Saves you ages trying to find them out yourself. And look at this, they're giving away a free tips book for Zelda. Ocarina of Time, Part 2 no less, must have been popular then. PAL version, so definitely for us here. Right at the bottom, looks like a little mention for N64 Special Offers Club Mario. Probably some mail order thing or whatever, those were everywhere back then. This text celebrates Donkey Kong, hailing him as a hero despite some initial playful mockery. It delves into DK's history, highlighting his pre-Mario existence in the gaming world. The text notes their antagonistic relationship in the original game, where Mario was the villain. The author then acknowledges the silliness of the name Donkey Kong, but appreciates it nonetheless. The text lists some of DK's greatest hits, notably Donkey Kong Country, and praises Rare's graphical prowess. Looking forward, the text mentions DK's appearance in Mario Kart 64, and teases his upcoming 3D debut in Super Smash Bros. Most excitingly, it hints at a new Donkey Kong game in development by Rare for the N64, promising exciting times ahead for the character. This page is a bit of a cheeky advert for the Game Boy Pocket. It's got this setup like one of those emergency break glass boxes you see, for fire alarms, but instead of an axe, it's a Game Boy Pocket. Right above it, in big letters it says, in case of emergency break glass, and below the Game Boy it says Game Boy, protecting the planet from boredom. Bit dramatic, isn't it? But I suppose back then, a Game Boy really was an essential bit of kit for staving off boredom. It's a simple image really, just the Game Boy in a bright red box, but it gets the point across, doesn't it? Emergency boredom. Crack open the glass and get your Game Boy out. Takes you back to a time when portable gaming was king, and the Game Boy Pocket was the sleek, smaller version of the brick we all knew and loved. They were really pushing the idea that the Game Boy was some kind of essential tool for modern life, which, in a way it was back then if you wanted to survive a long car journey without going completely stir-crazy. This page is a full-on advert for Zelda, Ocarina of Time on the N64 at BT's. Classic bit of marketing this, isn't it? They're banging on about a free Jolt pack when you buy Zelda, which apparently includes a whole 1 meg of memory, worth a tenner they reckon. £49.99 for Zelda seems about right for back then, probably a decent price. Big picture of the Zelda box art, showcasing Link battling some nasty looking beastie. It's all very dramatic. Great brands, great prices, is plastered at the bottom, trying to hammer home the value I suppose. Then down the side you've got the classic BT's logo, reminding you where you can actually buy this game. Jerry Cheshire. The The right side is just a massive list of BT stores all over the place, with their phone numbers, Aberdeen, Altrincham, right down to Woodley and even VR London. Blimey, they were everywhere back then, weren't they? All that so you can feel free to contact any of our stores with any queries you may have. Very helpful of them. Essentially, it's just letting you know where to find your local BTs if you wanted to grab Zelda, and that essential jolt pack. Good times, eh? This page is the cover for a free tips book, number 8 it is, from Nintendo Official Magazine, all about Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Classic game, everyone was obsessed with it back then, weren't they? It's got that iconic artwork plastered all over it with the Master Sword and Hylian Shield. Proper eye-catching stuff. They're calling it awesome and magic. Ooh! A bit over the top, but it was a mega game, I suppose. It's probably one of those freebies you got with the magazine. Or maybe bundled with Zelda itself, at BT's, considering the last page. Looks like it's promising all sorts of secrets and tips for beating bosses and navigating the levels. Combat sorted. Typical game guide stuff really, but essential back in the day, before the internet told you everything. PAL version is on there too, just to remind you which territory this was for. Yeah, a nice little freebie to get you even more hooked on Zelda. This page is a right old blast from the past, isn't it? Looks like we're still on about Zelda, Ocarina of Time, but this time is shouting about an epic adventure right across the page. They're really going for it, aren't they? Listing the bosses of Fire, Water and Earth, telling you to become a teenager and find the Ocarina of Time. Bit obvious if you ask me, but hey, gotta spell it out for some folks I suppose. Oryu. Down below there's a what's inside bit with ticks next to story, all items, and Hyrule explored. Standard guide stuff really, telling you they've covered the basics, which, yeah, you'd expect in a guide for Zelda. Dory. And then they've got this quote, get ready for the game of decade. Warrantix. Bit much, even for Zelda wasn't it, but I suppose at the time, people were losing their minds over it. And a score of 97%, crikey, they didn't hold back on the praise, did they? Still, it was good, can't deny it, just a tad over the top, with the hype perhaps. It's all from Nintendo Official Magazine, so you know it's official word and all that. Just your typical page, hyping up the game and the guide you're holding, really. This page goes on about adventure essentials for Zelda. Still banging on about Ocarina of Time, of course. They're giving out some pretty basic tips like explore everywhere and talk to everyone. Hardly groundbreaking stuff, is it? Point 2 is all about not rushing and enjoying the scenery. Yeah, alright, Hyrule Field is nice enough I suppose. Then it's on about Zelda's world being enormous and overwhelming. Bit dramatic, lads. Don't worry about it, take one thing at a time. Cheers, helpful. And then they reckon a problem impossible at midnight will be obvious at 9 AM. Right, because problems magically solve themselves overnight, do they? So take breaks, yeah, thanks for that genius advice. And finally, no set route, just explore. Well, duh. Below that, in a quick tip box, they suggest keeping a pen and paper handy. Unless you've got a memory like Superman, you'll need it. There's bloomin' loads of stuff you're gonna have to remember. Bit of an understatement there, to be fair. Ocarina could get a bit convoluted, couldn't it? The image itself is Link looking a bit windswept at the bottom, and then Ganondorf looking menacing on horseback up top. Nice and dramatic. It's all very epic adventure, as they keep saying. Standard stuff for hyping up Zelda back then, really. This section of the guide focuses on basic training in Ocarina of Time. It starts with Talk to All, emphasizing the importance of interacting with every character for potentially vital information later on. Next is Remember All, urging players to pay attention as previous conversations may become significant. The guide then details Get Kokiri Sword and Deku Shield, offering practical advice for acquiring essential starting equipment. It explains how to obtain the Kokiri Sword and purchase the Deku Shield using rupees. A quick tip advises planting magic beans in soft soil mounds found throughout Hyrule, which can be purchased later in the game. The section ultimately provides introductory advice for new players. This guide covers the Great Deku Tree, the first dungeon in Ocarina of Time. The player, Link, must clear the dungeon after the Great Deku Tree is cursed. The walkthrough begins with an Inside the Tree section, advising players to equip their sword, shield, and Deku sticks. It covers acquiring the dungeon map and fairy slingshot, emphasizing the importance of conserving Deku seeds. Next, the guide focuses on the basement, highlighting sculptures and how to defeat them using the slingshot on their weak spot. It details using Deku sticks to burn cobwebs, and the clever tactic of dousing them in water to avoid self-inflicted burns. A quick tip is provided for defeating Deku Babas, recommending to chop them when they open their mouths to get Deku sticks. Overall, it's a helpful beginner's guide to this initial dungeon. This page continues the walkthrough for the Deku Tree dungeon in Ocarina of Time, right where we left off. It's all about facing the boss of this first area, who they've called the Plastic Arachnid Goma. Bit of a mouthful that. The guide starts by telling you to watch the cutscene, and then it's straight into the boss fight. Apparently Link's meant to be scared, which is a laugh, he's faced worse. The strategy is pretty straightforward. When Goma's eye turns red, you sling a Deku Seed at it. 3 hits from the slingshot when the eye's red will make it angry, and it will come down to attack. Then you just keep using the slingshot on its red eye until it's stunned, and then you switch to your sword to give it a good chop to the eye. Repeat until it's done for. Thuda. There's a quick tip here reminding players to practice their targeting. Be bold, young warrior. He looks well scary, but you will win through in the end. Ha! Bit dramatic, even for back then. Once you've finally squashed the creepy crawly, you grab the heart container and walk into the blue light to move on. Apparently you'll be awarded the Kokiri's Emerald, the first spiritual stone, and it finishes by saying the poor Deku Tree dies because of Ganondorf's poison curse, and yes, we nearly cried too. Charming. All very simple stuff for a first boss really, but good for getting you started, I suppose. This guide details the journey to Hyrule Castle in Ocarina of Time. It begins by introducing Princess Zelda, Ganondorf's threat, and Link's early role. The player is oriented using a map of Hyrule Field, highlighting key locations like Kakariko Village and Zora's River. The guide then directs the player back to Kokiri Forest to obtain the ocarina from Saria. It highlights that the Hyrule Castle drawbridge is only open during the day. Nakaru. Next, the guide describes Hyrule Market, detailing its shops, including a rupee-filled shop, the bazaar, the potion shop, and the Temple of Time. The final section covers meeting Malon and the guards, and how to infiltrate the castle via the moat using stealth tactics. This guide section details the initial steps in Hyrule Castle. You begin by meeting Talon, who requires a hatched chicken to leave. Afterward, navigate a crate puzzle and tunnel. Then, you encounter Zelda and Impa. Zelda informs you about Ganondorf and the spiritual stones, providing a letter and expressing pleasure about your Kokiri Emerald. Impa teaches you Zelda's lullaby and issues tasks. Avoid castle guards by sticking to the edges of the screen. Finally, a quick tip reveals a hidden path to a great fairy, accessible with bombs, located at a dead end on the right side of the path. Lon Lon Ranch in Ocarina of Time is a central location in Hyrule Field, featuring Talon and his daughter, Malon. Players can explore the ranch buildings, finding rupees in pots, and a heart container, by moving crates. Malon teaches Link a tune if he plays it back correctly on his ocarina, which is crucial for later in the game. Kaho, the iconic horse Epona, makes her first appearance here, but young Link cannot ride her yet. The player must explore other areas and return later as a teenager. A tip advises talking to Malon multiple times for information about Epona. This guide explores the Lost Woods from Ocarina of Time, detailing its confusing maze-like structure and importance as Saria's home. It highlights key locations within the woods like a pond and a man on a tree. A provided map guides players from Hyrule Field to the Sacred Forest Meadow, emphasizing the importance of following musical cues at doorways. The guide offers combat advice for battling wolves and Deku Scrubs. It also reveals the location of a fairy fountain for energy restoration. Reaching the Sacred Forest Meadow allows players to learn Saria's song from Saria. The guide concludes with a quick tip about using the fairy fountain and the ocarina for energy refills and teleportation. It served as a helpful resource before online guides were readily available. This guide focuses on the early stages of Dodongo's Cavern in Ocarina of Time. It introduces the dungeon, which is infested with monsters and holds rocks desired by the shy Gorons of Death Mountain. The guide highlights key locations in the first room, including the dungeon map, one-eye statue, and a Deku Scrub selling a Deku shield. It also touches on the route to Death Mountain, which passes through Kakariko Graveyard. Players are instructed to use Zelda's lullaby to open a hole in the graveyard. Finally, it covers the royal family tomb, advising players on dealing with zombies, use spin attacks or run past them, or utilize the Sun Song learned later in the game. The guide's primary function is to assist players in navigating these early challenges. Hattie. This page carries on our Dodongo's Cavern exploration in Ocarina of Time, right then. So, first up, we're told to learn the Sun Song in the tomb itself. Apparently, some composer brothers left the secret melody which, surprise surprise, is the Sun Song. Handy for changing day and night if you're messing about in Hyrule Field, which, let's be honest, you will be. After that, it's off to the mountain trail, give Zelda's letter to the guard, and then Goron City is the next stop. Easy peasy. Then, we're on to meeting Darunia. Apparently, a door will block your path, but a quick Zelda's Lullaby sorts that out. You'll bump into Darunia, the big cheese of the Gorons. Standard puzzle stuff. Light 4 torches next to him with the flame. Finally, the open cavern section. Bomb flowers are your friends here. Use them to blow up the entrance to this cavern. They point out a bit of soft soil where you can plant a magic bean for later. Remember those things? Bomb stone door next, and then you're jumping across pillars. They mention laser creatures, classic Zelda enemies, which you can bomb or just leg it to avoid their beams. Standard dungeon fare really, not exactly rocket science is it? And there you have it, more of Dodongo's cavern sorted. They even throw in a quick tip about Darunia becoming your sworn brother, and you'll be off saving his people from becoming dragon snacks. Dramatic stuff back then. This guide focuses on navigating Dodongo's cavern in Ocarina of Time, advising players on how to progress through the dungeon. It emphasizes the use of the Hylian shield to protect against flaming bats, as the Deku shield will burn. The walkthrough details specific room challenges. Players are instructed to defeat lizards, blow up brick doors, and light torches to advance. The final section, Bomb Tower, requires players to navigate a room with lava, release bars, and use bombs to reveal a stairway and find a compass. Throughout the guide, Deku scrubs are mentioned as sources of Deku sticks and replacement Deku shields. A quick tip reinforces the importance of equipping the Hylian shield upon entering the cavern. This guide continues a walkthrough of Dodongo's cavern in Ocarina of Time. The player is instructed to navigate various rooms, starting with avoiding ledges, defeating sculptures, and entering a door. The guide then details using the slingshot against bats to avoid shield damage, manipulating statues, and climbing a ladder to reach a door. Next, the walkthrough covers a rope bridge, followed by another red ladder, and a bomb plant puzzle to access a chest, likely containing a red rupee, and a heart container. The final steps involve bombing a door, and utilizing blocks and bombs to progress. A quick tip reminds the player to be wary of the spiked saucers, emphasizing the importance of conserving hearts. In Dodongo's cavern, you're in the furnace room. Use the slingshot on a shield to open the door. Face your first sword and shield combat test against two Lizalfos, two-legged lizards. Block their attacks with the Hylia shield, R button, and strike back when they jump or run off. Kill the Lizalfos to proceed. Next, find the bomb bag in a chest, enabling you to carry 20 bombs. The boss is Giant Dodongo. Stand on a rope bridge and drop bombs into Dodongo's eyes when it opens its mouth. After the battle, enter its mouth. You can jump down from the stone pillar to save time, but it will cost you energy. This guide continues the walkthrough for Dodongo's cavern. After navigating the Lizalfos room and solving a block puzzle, you'll find a small chest with bombs, crucial for the upcoming boss. Bomb a dark spot on the floor to drop down and prepare for the fight. The Dodongo boss is a fire-breathing dragon. Avoid its charges by staying at the lava's edge. When it rolls, toss bombs into its mouth during its roars. This stuns it, allowing you to attack with your sword. Bomb plants are available if you run out of bombs. Upon defeating Dodongo, you receive the ruby stone from Darunia, and are transported out of the cavern. You are then instructed to visit the fairy at the top of Death Mountain. The quick tip advises against chasing Dodongo, and to use bomb flowers if necessary. This page right then is all about Death Mountain, and finding your first great fairy in, what must be, Ocarina of Time. It's guiding you up the Blooming Mountain, telling you to stick to the rock platforms after Goron City, and watch out for sculptures, naturally. There's a bit about using bombs on cracked rocks to climb up, and then further on, a lovely bit about running like mad to dodge falling rocks. Once you're knackered and at the summit, apparently there's an owl classic Zelda, always with the owls who'll help you out later. You gotta blow open a door on the left, and inside you'll find the fairy fountain. It says to stand on the Triforce symbol, play Zelda's Lullaby, and ta-da, you're an important person. Apparently you get some cool effects and meet the great fairy who, bless her, gives you magic sword power. Very generous, that is. The page explains how to charge your sword, holding B or tapping B, and circling the 3D stick. Those were the days of learning all these new controls, weren't they? And a quick tip reminds you that it gets proper hot at the Death Mountain crater, so you'll need some fireproof gear later, just before the fire temple. Good to know, cheers for the heads up. Basically, it's your first taste of getting some proper magic power in the game, all thanks to a friendly giant fairy on a volcano. Standard N64 epicness, really. This guide details the journey from Death Mountain to Zora's Domain in Ocarina of Time and prepares players for the Jabu Jabu's Belly Dungeon. Before heading to Zora's domain, players are reminded to purchase magic beans from vendors in Hyrule Market Bazaar, Kokiri Forest, and near Dodongo's Cavern. These beans, when planted in soft soil, grow into platforms needed to access hidden areas later in the game. The guide then outlines Jabu Jabu's belly. The basement level features Ruto's initial fall, an octopus boss fight, puzzle elements involving raising water, and a Deku scrub. Floor 1 begins at Jabu Jabu's mouth, progressing through a lift room, the presence of Ruto again, and the acquisition of the boomerang, dungeon map, and compass. This level also involves releasing rooms, overcoming green tentacles, and navigating wiggly blocks before reaching the final boss. A quick reminder emphasizes the importance of planting magic beans for future exploration. This guide continues the Ocarina of Time adventure, focusing on Zora's domain and Lake Hylia. First, find King Zora by playing Zelda's Lullaby near a waterfall in Zora's domain, then go through a hidden door and jump through the waterfall to reach the main area. Practice diving for rupees, then get the silver scale to dive deeper. Swim through an underwater door to reach Lake Hylia. In Lake Hylia, find an empty bottle and get a letter from Ruto. Deliver the letter to King Zora to pass through a gap. Catch a fish in the shallow water outside the shop using your bottle. The guide also includes a quick tip about controlling Link's movement during the high dive. This guide covers the Jabu Jabu's belly dungeon in Ocarina of Time. The journey begins by entering Jabu Jabu's mouth after feeding him a fish. Inside, players use the slingshot to trigger mechanisms and progress through the dungeon. The player encounters Princess Ruto, who they must escort and even throw across gaps. Navigating water-filled rooms involves raising water levels and using the slingshot again. The dungeon features multiple routes and rooms with holes. Giant tentacles guard doors that require Ruto to hold switches open. The guide advises ignoring her complaints and proceeding. A quick tip reminds players to keep track of Ruto's location to avoid her displeasure. The dungeon presents a typical, quirky Ocarina of Time experience. This walkthrough continues in Jabu Jabu's belly. First, acquire the boomerang and dungeon map. Clear room 4 of stingers for the boomerang, and use it in room 5 to get the dungeon map. Next, obtain the compass by bursting 6 bubbles in room 6. Continue by using the boomerang on tentacles in rooms 7 and 8, and defeating a baddie in room 3. Finally, face the boss, Baronade. Drop into room 8 through the green tentacles hole, leading to room 10. Locate the blue spiritual stone with Ruto, although it's not collectible yet. Defeat Baronade in room 10 by targeting its weak points with the boomerang. Remember, Ruto is just happy you found the stone. This page continues the walkthrough for Zora's domain, still in Ocarina of Time. It's all about tackling that weird jellyfish boss, Baronade, properly named Bioelectric Anemone Baronade. A bit of a mouthful, isn't it? It guides you through the fight step by step, reminding you to use the boomerang, which you've just picked up of course, and how to stun it. Apparently, you need to target the green spot, where its butt should be charming. Once it's stunned, you're meant to give it a good sword thrashing. Then, it's on to climbing platforms and heading towards room 17, ready for the big one. There's also a quick tip reminding you to be patient, and not just swing the jellyfish, waiting for the right moment to strike. Good advice, though for some of us, patience isn't exactly a strong suit when facing these N64 bosses. It mentions getting the spiritual stone of water, Zora's sapphire, and then heading back to Zelda once you've got all 3 stones. Remember playing this back then? Collecting those stones felt like a proper adventure, didn't it? Simple times. This section of the guide covers the Temple of Time in Ocarina of Time. Entering the temple, which is the gateway to the sacred realm, leads to meeting Sheik. The player acquires the Ocarina of Time after witnessing Zelda's capture and retrieving it from the castle moat. Learning the Song of Time allows access to the temple itself. Inside, playing the Song of Time on the altar activates the Master Sword, transforming Link into a teenager and granting the Light Medallion. The primary goal becomes collecting 4 more medallions from diverse locations: a forest, mountain, lake, underworld and desert. The guide also notes how to revert to childhood by returning the Master Sword. As a teenager, certain items are lost, such as magic beans. Finally, the player leaves the temple as a teenager and is off to the Lost Woods. After becoming an adult in Ocarina of Time, you arrive in Kakariko Village. The guide directs you to get the hookshot by reading Dampé's diary, battling a ghost, and then racing Dampé's spirit. Winning isn't essential, just keep up with him until the end. The guide emphasizes the hookshot's importance. Next, learn the Song of Storms by playing the Song of Time at the windmill. Use it to fill the village well, revealing a future secret. The guide then suggests a detour to Lon Lon Ranch to get Epona before tackling the Lost Woods and Forest Temple, reminding the player of their main quest. To get Epona in Ocarina of Time, return to Lon Lon Ranch and challenge Go to a race. First, befriend Epona by playing her song and doing cool jumps while mounted. During the race, use carrots for speed boosts, and try to block Go. If you lose, you're trapped and must pay rupees. If you win, Go locks you in. Escape by riding over chickens for a speed boost. Once outside, use carrots to jump over the gate. Now Epona is yours. Call her with Epona's song in Hyrule Field. Mount and ride with A and Z. Avoid losing the race, as 50 rupees is a significant amount early in the game. This page covers the Forest Temple in Ocarina of Time, and blimey, those woods have gotten a bit hairy now. You're a grown-up Link, haven't they? Seems the enemies are tougher and more aggressive. Which is just great, isn't it? Also, there's a section on Big Barbarians, which are apparently guarding the entrance to the Lost Woods. Mido's still playing guard dog, suspicious as ever, but thankfully, playing Saria's song will get you past him. They've even got a couple of screenshots of these barbarian guards. Look a bit mean, don't they? Used to be just Deku scrubs kicking about in the sacred forest meadow, now it's these club-wielding lads. Then we've got the usual dungeon maps, one for the first floor and one for the second floor of the Forest Temple. They're all numbered, telling you what's what. First floor highlights include killing skeletons for a dungeon key, arrow switches, a falling ceiling room, and a block puzzle. Second floor has the usual dungeon map location, switches, the bow, keys, compass, another arrow switch, something called a shadow hand boss, and a frozen arrow switch room. Sounds like a right laugh, doesn't it? There's a quick tip at the bottom saying these barbarians are scary and vicious, and to be careful. Cheeky bit of advice is to run diagonally to dodge their blasts and edge past them when they're not looking. Which is standard stuff really. Good luck with all that then. Sounds like a proper temple crawl. This guide details the early sections of the Forest Temple in Ocarina of Time. It starts with a quick recap of the Minuet of Forest, highlighting the fairy fountain for health and escape. Players are advised to battle or bypass Stalfos while seeking dungeon keys. The dungeon map section describes navigating Skulltula-infested areas, requiring the hookshot. The Song of Time is used to open a locked door. Players then retrieve the dungeon map after some Skulltula combat. Deyas. Finally, Down Dark Basement details a water puzzle involving vines, a switch, and draining water to reach B1. Here, players find recovery hearts and the dungeon key. The guide concludes with a reminder to utilize the hookshot. This page continues the Forest Temple guide for Ocarina of Time. It looks like we're dealing with more skeletons, as if there weren't enough of those already. First up is a block puzzle in room 8. Classic Zelda puzzle really. Up a ladder, push some blocks in arrow directions, and shoot an eye switch. Of course you need a bow and arrow for that. They helpfully point out you'll get that soon in rooms 9 and 10. Speaking of which, the next section is conveniently about getting the bow and arrows. You need a key to reach room 11, which naturally involves battling skeletons in room 10 with your shield and sword. Riveting stuff. Then, down into room 12, more skeletons to dispatch, but hey, at least you finally grabbed the bow and arrows. The last bit is on ghost paintings in rooms 13 and 14. Shoot these paintings with arrows before they turn black, and, predictably, ghosts appear. Shield up to block their spins, then give them a good sword whack. Beat one in room 14 for the compass, and another in 13 for a key. And just in case you were wondering, there's a quick tip box to hammer home the point that bow and arrows are absolutely essential, especially for those eye switches. Well, duh. This guide continues through Ocarina of Time's Forest Temple. Players navigate the Shadow Hands section, using the hookshot and sword to defeat enemies and open a door. They must then battle Shadow Hands that split into 3. Next, the dungeon key requires slaying scampering critters to obtain a chest containing a key. Finally, players find the boss key. They solve eye switch puzzles and navigate a topsy-turvy corridor to reach the key. The guide offers a quick tip to avoid Shadow Hands attacks: watch your shadow and stay moving. This guide continues navigating the Forest Temple in Ocarina of Time. It covers the twisted corridors, rooms 17 and 22, which involve rotating platforms, frozen switches needing fire arrows, and a drop into room 23. Next it deals with falling floors, Room 24 and 25, where players must find safe spots as the ceiling drops and hookshot skulls. Finally, it's Ghost Attack in Room 25. Players must shoot a painting, arrange blocks, and defeat a ghost by shielding and then attacking. The guide offers tips, like identifying the real blue ghost among fakes, and suggests using fire arrows on frozen switches. The guide moves on to the forest temple boss, Phantom Ganon. Players must use arrows to hit the real Phantom Ganon as he emerges from paintings, avoiding decoys. Once dismounted, the boss can be defeated with jump attacks, or by reflecting his energy blasts. After victory, Link finds himself in the Chamber of Sages with Saria, the Sage of the Forest. He receives the Forest Medallion, and learns he's a Hylian, not a Kokiri. This happy pause is short-lived, as Ganondorf's threat looms. The guide concludes with a next month preview, hinting at upcoming content like new tunics, weapons, and the exploration of fire and other temples, promising more gameplay ahead. This page is clearly showing off a free tips book, chucked in with the January 1999 issue of the official Nintendo magazine. We've got Link on Epona, the trusty steed, brandishing the Master Sword, looking all heroic-like. It's promoting a tips guide for Ocarina of Time, no doubt picking up right where the magazine feature left off with the Forest Temple and Phantom Ganon. Seems like they were really pushing this game back then, and rightly so. It was a proper masterpiece, and this freebie would have been a welcome bonus for anyone picking up the mag to get even deeper into Hyrule. Nice touch throwing in a free tips book. Keeps us gamers happy, doesn't it?